could we teach Bruce Lee to hit a ball like a golf professional faster than we could teach a golf professional to fight like Bruce Lee? 100%.
Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. It's almost 4th of July. I was just thinking about that today. We're very close to it being 4th of July, which is the hardest summertime. So it's crazy how fast things go. A lot going on. We got a very big show today. Keegan Bradley just won. He's friend of the program. Barstool Sports' very own The People's Golfer 2.0. Jim Renner was the first one, and then he basically lost his card, so Dave had to find somebody new. He grabbed Keegan Bradley. I think Keegan Bradley was the first professional golfer to ever be on the rundown. He was on right after Jordan Spieth collapsed at the 2016 Masters. I'll never forget that. So big win for Keegan. We're going to get to that. We've been to the Travelers Championship. It's a phenomenal tournament. There's a lot to get to on that front. We have a huge interview on this show. We've got an hour with Sean Foley, who we've had on before. Trent and I interviewed him years ago. It was a lot about, obviously, Tiger Woods. He was Tiger Woods' swing coach in 2013 when he got back to number one in the world. And David Woods. These guys are both very renowned swing instructors, so it's a lot of golf talk. I think people are going to love it. Anybody who listens to this show is going to that plays golf is going to love it. They have the ProSENDR, which is their swing aid that Rory McIlroy picked up and uses and has gone all over the internet with the fact that he's using it. I saw Cam Smith was using it this past week. They posted videos. So we had these guys on. David Woods has ties with TaylorMade guys. The TaylorMade guys love him. It was a phenomenal chat, and they tell all kinds of good stories. And we get into swing thoughts and everything. So we have them on for about an hour. And then we're doing something big this week that I was speaking with Hank a little bit about, and he essentially was like, there's no way people aren't going to just know that we're here and people are going to post stuff. So we're filming an enormous production this week for Barstool Sports and Foreplay that involves Dave Big Cat, pardon my take, in a lot of ways, and it's kind of a Barstool golf video with big personalities. I don't know how much more of that we want to spill, but we're all going to be together this week, so we're trying to kind of go around, film, record podcasts, put them out, do interviews early. So we got a lot going on this week, fellas.
Yeah, it's the first group company mashup on the golf course. I think it's been a long time coming. We've had this idea for a long time to get everyone in the mix, and it's finally happening. It's really great that this is the week, right in the midst of the busiest schedule that we've ever had in Foreplay history. We're just putting in the biggest video that we'll ever fucking shoot, probably, and it'll be mega viewed, I think, at when this comes out. So it's going to be a great video. We're all heading down to the Pinehurst area. Riggs, you're there now. I think Danny's there also. We all have early flights tomorrow, and we're all going to meet you guys down there, and then it's go time. It's like 5 days of filming. Oh, of course
I'm
you
nervous.
are.
Joel, I'm very nervous. So I feel like I'm a big, because I feel like there's the only thing I can do is bad. I feel like there's expectations of me to play at a certain standard, and Kirk Minahan's going to be there. So I feel like I either play well and people are like, oh, this guy like is like a golfer, or I play shit and no one stops talking about it.
You made a bunch of fair points right there. I'll be honest.
No, I'll be honest. I think everyone that's involved in our show feels that way to a degree, right? Of like, we're the golf guys and now we're doing the sport. And even though we talk about it nonstop on this podcast about how we're not good at golf, Dan's the closest thing we have to a legitimate golfer, obviously. But for the most part, like, we talk all the time about how infuriating it is that we suck at golf. I think that relates to a lot of people. Yet here we are going to be thrown into the fire with Dave, Big Cat, with all these fucking personalities being like, you guys are the golf guys and we're going to hit horrific shots left and right. And that's all coming our way. So yeah, it's basically Barstool's version of a Ryder Cup like buddies trip with the Barstool personalities. It's not everybody. It's not every person you can imagine, but we pieced schedules together. We got as many guys, girls, whomever as we possibly could, that made sense, that worked scheduling wise, that could get here during this time of year for 3 or 4 days. And we're going to film a Ryder Cup formatted 2-team golf event with us and with, like I said, some personalities that you're going to hear about, that we're going to get into, people that you know from the internet that don't always do shit together. So that's all kind of descending upon this part of the country tomorrow, which is going to be very interesting, I think.
Whitney's on vacation, right? We'll just get that out like 6 months in advance. Ryan Whitney will not be there. I feel like that's going to be the number one. Where the hell is Spittin' Chicklets? He's there, not coming, right? That's
not
confirmed.
Not coming.
So he was invited and he did not show, and he has something else going on. So I wanted to get that out there because that's the number one. Foreplay didn't invite Chicklets guys. They were supposed to be there. They're supposed to be there.
Yep. You know, that was a big part of it. They put out a lot of golf stuff. Obviously, Whitney's I think a bigger golfer guy than he is hockey guy at this point. He just plays golf every day, which is exactly what I would do if I were retired like him, and pretty close to what we try to do. But yeah, I think he does like Martha's Vineyard all summer, basically, it sounds like.
Yeah, I just knew that was going to be overwhelmingly when that comes out. It's like, how do we not get Riggs versus Ryan, which is, I mean, eventually will be, after this comes out, that will be like the biggest video of all time. So, I mean, like at some point that's going to have to happen, but it's not this one. It's just not this one. They're not there.
No, we would love for them to be here. Obviously, I also invited Whitney to be part of the Corn Ferry Tour coverage, and he's like, I would love to. I'm on vacation all summer.
Which I respect. I do respect. He's earned it.
That's what I would do about him. And I made $30 million in the NHL, and now had everything that he's got going. So yeah, that's a good point. They won't be here, but it's pardon my take. It's us. It's Kirk. Francis is going to be here. Jersey Jerry, who is part of one of the funniest videos we've ever released, him and Frankie playing golf last week. That was incredible. So yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm wildly intrigued to see how it goes. Like we sort of live in this world where we're removed from the Barstool sphere a lot of the time, and now we're just we've like relocated it and then thrown ourselves into the middle of it as the guys with a lot of attention, because this is kind of our world, the golf world. So yeah, it'll be interesting. There's going to be a draft. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. It's going to be
fine. It's going to be fine. I'm sure it'll be totally fine. No, I'm excited to get down there and play just to see how it all goes. The draft, I'm very excited to see how that, it's Dave and Dan, as one would probably guess. So those are the two captains, and we'll just see what happens when we get down there. I think it's going to be a great bunch of videos for sure.
Yeah. So that's going on this week. So I think we'll probably have on Thursday's show, we'll probably have some folks from Barstool that will be on the show. I imagine Kirk. I talked to Kirk, asked him if he would like to be on it. He said absolutely. So I imagine Kirk will be on the show. Him and Dan have a very interesting history. So
it's so one-sided. It's not even a history. It's one guy just chirping at me, and I've literally never responded. And yet the narrative is that we have this long and complicated history. This is a fucking ridiculous place to work. This is a ridiculous place to work.
That's got to be the one thing, and I'm sure there's actually a bunch, that you didn't have going on at Golf Digest, where it was just
yes, no.
I know there's probably a bunch, and
calling me out.
Yeah, you can speak to whichever ones they are, but like this one in particular, you probably didn't have at Golf Digest, but it sounds like you're going to be in the same room with him this week, and it sounds like you're probably going to be on the golf course at the same time as him this week. So very interested to see how that goes. But
look, I'm going to be as nice as I possibly can to all these people, and we'll see where the chips fall where they may. All you can do is do your best.
You and Kirk, I believe, have been together twice, right? Mini golf and at the Masters tournament. Didn't you see each other at the Masters tournament?
The Masters, he came up to me. I was in the media center doing my job, and he came up and gave me a handshake, and it was very stand-up guy, and then he kept going. So I think there's a mutual respect there. All class. That guy's all class.
All class, baby. That's what I expected to. You know that we have been a part of this very important family. It's called the Chevy EV family. It's electric vehicles for everyone, everywhere. It's everything you come to know and love. Sleek, amazing designs, iconic, the bow tie, like a rock, all of that wrapped into electric vehicles. The Silverado, especially, is Barstool's most valuable truck. We've driven it. We've been inside of it. We've filmed with it. It's just an amazing machine.
Really is. It absolutely is. I just saw the footage of me driving it in a Dropbox video. Our amazing, content, our advertising content team sent me what they had filmed with me and Dr. Brett McCabe driving this thing around one of our golf courses here. And it was, just seeing it again, all the technology inside the infotainment system, the flatbed in the back where it's all mechanically going on its own. I can reverse that thing. I can lower that back trunk no matter where I'm at. It's incredible. The noises it makes, it's like it doesn't make any noise, and then all of a sudden it makes noise because it's also so quiet that it has to make noise. That's like an amazing fact that like these things are so well built that they have to like have noise in them so that sounds like a real car. Wow. I love everything about that thing. I left talking about it to every single person I saw the next day. showing them pictures, being like, "Can you believe this thing? I can't believe it's real."
It's an amazing vehicle. You're right. I love it. I saw some clips. I saw the fact that you're lighting up an area with it to do a little bit of golf playing. So it's a phenomenal piece of technology. It did an amazing job. Over 10 feet of length in the bed, 0 to 60 under 4.5 seconds. Available 400-mile range. GM estimated with a full charge. Head on over to Chevy.com to learn more. Check out their entire EV line, electric vehicles. Again, that's Chevy.com, and go learn more.
Frankie, you look skinny.
What?
You look skinny.
I appreciate that.
It's working.
Thank you.
It's a noticeable effect, because for those that don't know, he's got a wedding coming up, and we've been on the road for like a month straight, and he's been abstaining from ice cream and sugars.
This is very nice of you.
Dude, you look good. I genuinely, it was one of the things that came to my mind when we all hopped on this Zoom.
Well, yeah, it's been a hard, we've been on the road like crazy. We had 4 classics in 5 days. We've been jumping around. We've been filming a lot of stuff, Barstool Golf, breaking 90s. It's been pretty much, and then we had LACC obviously. So it was a lot. And being on the road, you just eat junk food and fucking ice cream and Snickers and Reese's. And I said to myself 3 weeks ago, or I guess I said 3 weeks leading up to the wedding, I will not touch sugar. So, and I think I'll once the wedding comes, I will have not touched sugar for a month. It's been 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks to go. It makes a big difference, man. Like usually at like night right now, after we do this podcast, I would sit down and just eat like chocolate and popcorn. Probably I would sit there, I'd watch a movie. I would eat one thing of popcorn and one thing of chocolate, one thing of popcorn, one thing of chocolate. And I would just go for an hour, and I stopped that. And hopefully just to tighten things up. I'm already skinny. I got noodle arms. I got a pathetic body, but my face was getting so fat right here, and I didn't want those photos. So
you showed some real willpower in Nashville. We all went out to dinner.
Shit.
Well, I mean, dude, we all went out to dinner. The Barstool Classic crew, Jesse Mancini and his whole crew, and a couple of our guys, and me and Frankie. Beautiful dinner.
Big Rob was on
it.
Big
Rob was there.
My buddy Big Rob, who's in Nashville now. He met us for dinner. So yeah, so we had dinner, and then what'd you guys fucking do?
It was in like this food hall court area that's right off Broadway, and you walk down the stairs from the restaurant that we were at, and there's just a bunch of things going on, a bunch of restaurants, a bunch of things you can try. And there was this place, Hattie Jane's, that is like a creamery, an ice cream place. And all of us, every single one of us, got a huge ice cream cone or a milkshake or whatever, and Frankie Borelli just stood in the corner and watched all of us eat a bunch of ice cream. And you did not get any. It was an incredible display of willpower, I must say.
Big Rob got a fucking ice cream parfait that was ice cream, brownie, cookie, ice cream on top, and then whipped cream with chocolate sauce on top. Everyone got milkshakes, double malted. It was hard, man. I actually felt like I had the shakes. It was really funny. Me and Rob were looking at you at one point, and Trent was at the he was at like the window about to go order, and he was bouncing back and forth. And I said to Rob that he reminded me of a hockey player on the bench as the national anthem is being sung, where like it's that sway. And if you look at a bench in a hockey game, they're all swaying and they're kind of tapping their feet left and right, left and right, left and right. And they're kind of moving. And Trent was in an athletic stance about to get his whatever peanut butter cookie dough ice cream. And that I've never seen you more in your element than at that creamery. It was very, very funny. You were moving. You were really moving.
I was excited. It's a place that I had never seen. What they do is they've got all of the ice cream down there in the barrels that you can pick from. But what you can also do is you can pick something and then turn it into a milkshake. They'll just turn it into a full blown milkshake. So that got me very excited. I think that's probably why I was on my tippy toes, because I was excited to get a ice cream flavored milkshake. And yeah, it was really good. Really, really good.
Speaking of hockey guys, I ran into just a train of hockey guys this past weekend. It was insane. I go to this steakhouse in Scottsdale on Friday night, meeting somebody there. I'm standing at the very front. You're checking in, and the hostess is like getting everything together, getting ready to take a table. And I just I'm standing right next to the door to check in the whole deal. And then all of a sudden, like just one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, like a train of like 8 guys that just look like the same guy, hockey guy. They all dress the same. They all got the same like body, that like hockey like body and size, where they're like athletic but not like overly big like basketball players. But and just same hair, same fucking. They're all wearing like the Lululemon they're all wearing the same fucking thing. And then eventually I see like Brady Shea, and I'm like, and we kind of make eye contact, and I'm like, dude. And then like Jimmy Veazey and like Vinny Latte, and like just like 5 guys all of a sudden that we just know from the hockey world. And it was a Friday night in Scottsdale. I think they had all gotten there like Thursday. So they were like in one. I hadn't had like a drink yet all day. But I catch up with these guys. They're having a great time, whatever. And then today on my flight from Phoenix to Raleigh, Brady Shea was on my flight. And it was, so I like chit-chatted with him and caught up. And they were talking all about Minnesota and the Classic and the whole deal. And I was trying to picture like, because you guys just mentioned you guys had 4 in last week. Like we've already done 10 or 12 this year. And I was like, I don't even know when that Minnesota Classic was, but saw just the most like 18 hockey guys in a row or 20 guys.
Crazy. They were there for Vinny's bachelor party. And I can't even imagine that crew that was there. He's actually getting married on the same exact day as me, which was a shame because I really do like Vinny and I didn't want to have to share the day with him.
You know who getting married the day before you is Corey Kispert, who
it's a big wedding week.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big wedding week.
Yeah,
will say I oddly picked this date so that like a couple of my hockey buddies could come to it. Like I knew it was off season. You know, October weddings are sometimes nicer, early spring's nicer. It's gonna be the dead of the heat in the summer. So sorry for all the people that are coming, but I needed Brock Nelson there. You know what I mean? Like I just needed those guys there. Couldn't not have them there. Speaking of hockey guys, we were in Chicago, and I don't think we've done a podcast since then, have we? Maybe not. I don't even know anymore how many times we've traveled. But Trent and I were playing at the Glen Club, and we stumbled upon these hockey bros they were high school hockey bros. They saw Trent up there. Did we talk about this? I feel like we've said this story so many times. No? So
not on the podcast.
I don't think I've heard it.
Trent's up on the tee box and he hears, Trent Daddy, what's up, you legend, you absolute savage. Dude. So I'm like, no way is this happening, right? And they walk up, they're like, you ledge, and they got these big fucking legs, and they're wearing Lululemon shorts and like loose t-shirts. They come up to me, they go, Frankie Borelli, one bite, everyone knows the rulesies. I'm like, no way are these guys real. Puts his arm around me. He goes, Frankie Borelli, fucking Davey Buckets. I'm like, is this actually happening right now? Every word out of these guys' mouth was straight out of a cartoon. It was like that show Shoresy. It was like that. Who's that guy on Instagram that really he does like
freezer tarps. Freezer tarps.
So freezer tarps. Yeah, Zimbabwe's. So freezer tarps is from that town that the Glen Club is. So I think either he talks like that in real life or he's making fun of all the kids he's ever grown up with, because it's exactly the same way. They were just, these guys where I've laughed about them when they said one bite, everyone knows the rulesies. Like that was like them approaching us. Like Frankie Borelli, one bite, everyone knows the rulesies. And I'm like, is that how you're speaking in another language? They're like Trent Ryan with the Magnies on the dome piece, like wearing fucking glasses and shit. It's just like you can't even like. It's a different language. It's legitimately a different language.
Nobody less prepared for that moment than me. Like these are high school kid, like cool. Good-looking high school
they're in the limbo,
hockey players.
They all look like Matt Barzell.
And I'm just like, and I'm in my 30s now, and I got these 3 guys coming up to me calling me savage, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do.
Dude, he put his arm around me and just under his breath just goes, legend. As we're taking the photo. It's just so
I was just like, I'm trying to get a yardage on a par 3, and they're like, what's up, dude? And I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble. They were nice guys. They were really nice guys.
And he goes, where's Davey Buckets tonight? I'm just like, I don't know.
So it's like teenagers before these kids even speak the way they are the most intimidating people on the planet.
They're so much cooler than us. And then the best part, they go back to their carts and they're just ripping those like skateboard golf carts.
Yeah.
You know, those like, they're like razors almost, or electric razors. Danny doesn't even know what I'm talking about. That's how cool these things are. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. And they just like, see ya, bros, and just fucking skateboarded down the fucking fairway. It's like,
I played 9 holes today with a kid walking only. I played golf today. I played golf today with an 18-year-old kid who's going to Rollins College to play golf next year, and he was also just way cooler than me. So I got punched in the face at a club in the Bahamas. I was like, since when are 18-year-olds the most intimidating motherfuckers to hang out with?
Dude, we went to that Top Golf event in LA, and it was really cool. The TaylorMade and 2K event, and there was a dude walking around with just a black eye. It was just the craziest
Sick.
black eye I've ever seen in my entire life. Like he had just gotten socked 12 hours before it, and it was just completely bruised. And he wore it to the show. I mean, he wore it to this entire event.
It's a cool thing
And
to have.
everyone was like, that's sick, dude. Like no one even asked him what it was.
Oh, it's fashionable to get punched in the face. I don't know what I would have to do in life to get punched in the face, but it's not going to happen. And these kids are putting themselves in. These kids are putting themselves in positions where they're getting punched in the face.
I think when you're young, there are way more opportunities to get punched in the face. You're just out there. You guys everyone's filled with testosterone and hormones, and like one guy bumps another, and somebody gets punched in the face. It's those opportunities. If you are finding yourself in those opportunities nowadays at our ages, you got to grow up a little bit. But I think when you're 18, 19, 20, 21,
Absolutely.
Certainly when I was that age, people could find themselves getting punched in the face just because guys are filled to the gills with testosterone. But
we were surrounded by very cool stuff at that TaylorMade 2K party.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ran in a Nadeshot.
Nadeshot was there. Nicest guy on the planet. Absolutely nicest guy on the planet. It's his fiance, right? They haven't gotten married yet. I think we met his fiance.
I think that's right.
June 24th, I think.
People.
Day before you.
What?
I think he's getting married the day before you as well. I think it's just a jam-packed day.
I think it was right around that same time too. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. So yeah, no, that event was great. 2K knows how to put on an event. My God.
That guy's so nice that I thought he was trolling me via DMs for like years when he would just tweet. Remember when Nadeshot would just tweet at me that like love rigs and the foreplay? I'd be like, I would ask Bush, be like, why is this guy making fun of me on Twitter? It's just not very
He
nice.
put up
a
great like long tweet. I think it was yesterday about golf. This is it. This is what he says. This is what Nadeshot says. Friday morning, I went out to the golf course and shot a 94. Yesterday, I shot a 79. Golf is maddening. I've broke 80 twice this month, and both times, the recipe for success was simple. Club up on every shot and feel like I'm taking a half swing. Ball striking is immediately better, and I'm not killing myself chasing distance. I went through a bad slump over the last few weeks, and the only way I found out is by doing less. I've spent this entire year trying to prove to myself that I can hit the ball longer. Sometimes it would lead to a great shot that I've never had in my bag and boost my ego, but more times than not, just led to worse scenarios and worse scores. If any of you are going out for a round today and you've been struggling with your game, give it a try. Club up, swing easy, and let the club head just fall on the ball. I know this advice is thrown around a lot, but it wasn't until recently that I've really taken it to heart. Best of luck and have fun out there, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, what a fucking PSA to the world of golf from Nadeshot. I thought that was so cool. I read the shit out of that thing.
We actually get into a good amount of that type of talk with David and Sean Foley on the second half of that. And like Foley says at one point, he's like, everybody talks about using the body in your swing and the bigger muscle, lower body. And he's like, to make the point of like, you need your hands and to use your hands and arms. And that's like, he doesn't want to take that out. He's like, imagine if someone cut off your legs, you could still hit a golf ball. Like you'd have to really fabricate. You could still like make a golf swing and hit a golf ball. He's like, someone cut off your arms, you just couldn't play the game of golf.
One of the things he told me that stuck with me is that the guy who uses the most ground force on tour is Kevin Streelman, who doesn't really hit it that far. So he's like, yeah, your arms are still pretty important.
Yeah.
Tillery said that to me basically the first time I met him when I went down to Cuscawilla. He was like, your swing, and he wasn't saying it in a way where it's like, he wasn't saying it in a positive way. He was like, if I cut your legs off, your golf swing would be the exact same.
Yeah.
Because I was all arms. I'm still like 90% arms, but I got like a little bit of legs in there. But he was like, dude, if I cut your legs off, you'd be the same golfer. I was like, damn, that's fucking brutal.
Dude, I love talking swing transformations. And like when someone finds that thing, I was just talking to one of my buddies, Kyle, and he was like, he hasn't hit a ball this year outside. He had a little bit of an elbow issue, but he's been going to 5-iron golfs and he's been taking lessons and like just finding the slot and like not being so flat. And I was talking to him last night and he's just like so excited about the game. Like that, like finding that thing and like opening up your hips and moving your legs and like doing something new just makes the game so much more fun to go play. Like you have a new adventure. It's not the same ball flight. It's not the same. So many people like find this block that they can't get through. Obviously, like trying to shoot 89 for the first time, like you just can't get there. And like trying to achieve that, that's why breaking 90 is so fucking good. It's like getting that next step is the best part of the game. It really is. Like everyone can find it, whether it's like trying to what Nadeshot's saying, like just make it feel better or actually try and physically change something, or try and get to a certain number. That's the best part of the game. That and what I saw Francis did this week. Did you guys see our guy Francis? Fucking
he made the
member
putt, right?
guest at Silo Ridge, like one of the most exclusive, incredible places you can possibly be playing golf at. Just fucking shoeless, drains a putt to win the member guest. That's also fun in the game of golf.
He makes like a 10-footer shoeless. That wasn't a short putt. That was a real
And he got
putt.
drenched in champagne, and it just felt like it was just the craziest celebration ever.
Silo Ridge, by the way, if people don't know, is a discovery land. If we're going to give Danny Rapp shit about Quaker Ridge, we got to give Francis a lot of shit about Silo Ridge.
It's impossible to get in.
It is the most exclusive, most rich person place you could possibly be a member.
I don't even know what it is. I've never even heard of it.
He wears long sleeve polos, which is I thought was a joke. I thought wearing a long sleeve polo was an ironic move. I've never seen someone do it before.
Phil,
It's probably, is it because he's like, I mean, he's a pretty fair skinned, like redheaded guy. The sun must dominate him.
It's a move where if a guy's wearing a long sleeve polo, you know he's worth at least $50 million.
Dude, Silo Ridge is no joke. Trent, it's the New York version of Troubadour and all those discovery properties.
Oh, I do know what that. Okay, now that rings. I think
you
we've
have to
talked about it
have
before.
a property there, and it's like you have to know someone to get in because the properties sell out before they're even built. It's crazy.
And like
so shout
the
out
properties
to him.
they're not just like affordable like you have to own a property. I remember a couple years ago talking with Max Homa about this because he was thinking about he wanted to join Troubadour so that during most of the golf season they didn't have to fly all the way back to Phoenix in between events. They could like fly to somewhere neutral or whatever. And he was like, it's just crazy that like I have to own a home on that property, and the homes are like millions of dollars to own a home at Troubadour. And I think Silo's like the exact same situation. So that's just to let them look at you and consider you joining. You have to like own property there.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Well, shout out to him. It's going well for him. You know, it's a brand
Francis
new club,
so
and he won the member guest. That's pretty cool.
He's a good player, isn't he?
He is. He's actually our next. He's our next episode. Yeah, we're about to find out in Pinehurst, but he's also our next episode of Barstool Golf, which I think people are going to really enjoy. Jersey Jerry may have just like set the bar way too high for just any single person that comes on that show because he was so fucking funny. But Francis really hits the ball well and is obviously funny. The guy's a stand-up comedian and a very successful one at that. So yeah, no, this should be a wild week. I didn't even think about Francis until you just said it, that he's going to be playing in Pinehurst. That's a guy that's going to get, Dave and Big Cat. That's a guy that they can get into his head easy on the golf course. They really can. Oh man, Kirk, like all those guys. You say something to Francis, he could spin out of control. Francis and Danny are the two guys I'm keeping my eye on this week. You guys got a lot on the line. Francis not so much, but Francis gets in the mix. I think if you make a comment to him, he'll just spin out of control. Danny's got a lot on the line. You really if you shoot like you're saying, if you shoot 36 4 days in a row, like, it's just like, yeah, Danny's supposed to do that. But if you crumble, I mean, Kirk's never going to let you hear the end of it. I know I'm not helping you right now, but it's insane.
I'm going to plead the fifth until, I'll let the clubs do the talking. I think
I'm only impressed by like doing outrageous shit. Like you have to just blow our dicks off.
If you play well, everything will take care of itself. Everything else.
That's right. When he takes care of everything.
That
is true. Baby. If you're holding the trophy, you just win. It's over.
Yeah.
Let us talk about the newest league you guys need to join. No, it is not an NBA bracket. No, it's not a fantasy football team. It is a dating app called The League, designed for busy, career-oriented people to find their other better half. Many athletes, especially those making a career out of it, have the passion and work ethic The League looks for in their users. You don't have to be from an Ivy League. You don't have to. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be a CEO, whether your passion is business, music, or sports. If you value your time, refuse to settle, and want to find that in a partner, then The League is for you. Speaking of The League's user base, they boast a 60-40 girl to guy ratio. So the straight guys are looking at much better odds here compared to the mainstream apps where you're lucky if there's 30% women. Is that true? I don't know. I've never really been on the apps before, but this one, if anything, sounds good.
I also have not really been on the apps, but if that's the ratio,
sounds
that's
like
what
numbers.
That's what you're going to want.
I'm not a huge numbers guy, but that's
stats
just
guy.
registering with my brain right now.
Yeah.
The league believes a supportive partner is the best career accelerator that there possibly is. So when you're ready to find your special someone, download the league from the App Store today and message your concierge #FP to skip the wait. Once again, go download the league from the App Store. We like the numbers. We like the ratios. Download it today, the league. Message your concierge #FP to skip the wait. Speaking of winning, Keegan Bradley, he won the Travelers Championship. Pretty nuts that we had. Nick Taylor won the Canadian Open a few weeks ago. And then you've got a relatively similar situation. Obviously, it wasn't as big. It's not the Canadian Open. But, I mean, Keegan's a New England guy. There are like no New England professional golfers. Keegan's kind of the guy. He's from Vermont. He's talked about how much this event means year after year after year after year. He finished second, I believe, the year that Ches Reavie won it. Goes out, has a dominant performance, wins. It was incredibly emotional. He's also just a fiery, twitchy, into it guy. So like him coming up 18 and just going fucking nuts was so sick. It was so real and wholesome. And I know against everything with Liv and the Saudis and the money and everybody's playing for money. And Patrick Cantlay is apparently staging a coup at the same time that Russia's understood a coup and the whole deal. And then you've got fucking Keegan Bradley up there, who's already won 5 times, already won a major championship. He's played in 2 different Ryder Cups with Phil Mickelson. He's out there hooting and hollering, and yet this meant so much to him. He's got his cute family out there, and the kids got their own trophies. It was just so cool. It reminded me of when Max Homa won at Riviera. When you win kind of your hometown or the closest thing you have to a hometown
Zac
event.
at the JDC. Continue.
Yep. Zac at the JDC. It just means a lot. So shout out to Keegan. He's got a sneaky plethora of like great wins. That won the PGA Championship. It was his first major ever. He obviously just won the Travelers as a New England guy. Very cool hometown event. He's also won a playoff event, FedEx Cup playoff event, and a WGC. So it's like,
and he won in Japan earlier this year. He's had a fantastic career.
So he's
like
won
Michael Jordan's best friend.
He's MJ's boy. I put that on my fucking list. Like Keegan's kind of sneaky, got it going. So it was really, really cool to watch. He dominated the field so much so that he was able to pretty much collapse down the stretch and still won by 3.
And we had him on the show a couple months ago, and he talked about how he had to like basically retransform. Just transform.
Nope, not retransform.
Just had to just transform his body. I don't know why I put it but he had to just transform his body
again. Is that a retransform?
Yeah, I guess it could be multiple transformations, which would then be a retransform. But he basically just had to like keep up with what was happening on the tour. Guys were getting younger, he was getting older, and he felt like he needed to really like just turn the page and like change everything, and that took a lot out of him. It was like a long winding road for Keegan to like get back to where he wanted to get back to. And he's a guy that really feels everything with a lot of emotion, the highs and the lows, I feel like. And he really expressed all that on the podcast. Was that just Trent and I that were talking that day?
I think so.
I don't think I was on that one.
Oh, you were?
I was there. It was
me and Danny. It was me and Danny.
He was at the Bears, right?
Yes.
Or no, he was at the
Grove.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was just like so emotional talking about like that fucking grind back. And to see like when you go through like those transformations and you're like, all right, I'm going to take a risk here. I'm not going to just play for like 18th place and 30th place. I'm done with that. Like I know that I have to do this to win. And you take that risk where like if it doesn't work, then you just wasted like the last leg of your career. That probably happens more often than not. And for you to be successful, that's fucking awesome for Keegan. You know what I mean? It fucking worked. He sat down, looked in the mirror, and was like, we're going to change this, and I'm going to lift the trophy again. And he just went and did it. It can not work, right? It can backfire. It can probably fuck you. Like Martin Keimer, I think about, right? He like tried to change his swing so he could win at Augusta, and he fell off the planet. So it can backfire big time. So I totally agree. It's really cool, that retransformation that he did for him to go out there and get the win in such a big event down the stretch, and an event too where you had to just keep your foot on the gas. You had to make birdie after birdie after birdie. Amazing. So it was interesting too, hearing him talk a lot about the transformation or retransforming his putting he was obviously a belly putter broomstick or a belly putter guy. And then he really struggled after they banned it, really struggled more so than he thought. And then he found aim point, and we see everybody doing aim point. We had Adam Scott walk us through it when we crushed him in a scramble.
We see Max Homa deal with it, and he gets chirped about it sometimes online for how long his process takes, but he's a big aim point guy. And to hear Keegan kind of talking about how much aim point helped his putting over the last couple of years was really cool as well. So I like that he's kind of an open book with all that stuff.
I want to hold my dear friend Rory McIlroy to a chord here, because last week at the U.S. Open, he chirped back at me. I asked him about the stat where he has never won a tournament at single digits under par. And he said, well, actually, if I shot single digits under par at Congressional, I would have won. And if I shot single digits under par at Kiowa, I would have won. So now I'm gonna kind of bite back here. So Rory McIlroy today said, I don't particularly like when a tournament is like this. Unfortunately, technology has passed this course by, right? It has sort of made it obsolete, especially as soft as it has been with a little bit of rain that we had. Okay. Then he said at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, it's hard because the lead's changing hands with guys making bogeys, not really birdies. So don't know how people find that entertainment value. So which one is it? Which one are the courses too hard, or are the courses too easy? Because it feels like you're kind of playing both sides of it, my friend. I just wanted to get that out there because he chirped back at me and made me look like kind of an idiot. So I'm returning.
You know what? It reminds me of a lot of how we, the amateur golfer that gets to go around and play different courses, how we all like to claim or try to claim or wish that we could claim that how we play at that course doesn't dictate whether we think it's like an awesome course or not. And this reminds me of that so much, where you go in and you could, like you play really well and your buddy plays really well. And your boy's like, dude, that's honestly a top 5 for me. Like, that course is great. And you're like, well, I mean, it's like after you shot fucking 93 2 weeks ago, we went to this other course, you weren't singing those praises. I feel like Rory kind of is in the same mindset where, like, I've never seen a guy win a golf tournament and then afterwards be like, like this kind of style and they can't really rein it in with the rain is not my favorite. Like, there's no fucking way you're going to hear Keegan Bradley saying that this afternoon. So, he's probably a little bit of a victim of that, but I like that, Dan. I like that you're keeping receipts.
I'm keeping receipts, man. These guys are going to chirp back at me. I'm going to use my platform to chirp back at them. It's okay. What goes around comes around. That's how it works.
Rory, come on the show and defend yourself.
Yeah. Come talk
Get on the show. Your shot's fired, pal. Get on the show.
You know what I found really interesting looking at this leaderboard is you got Keegan Bradley, 23 under par, but then you got Zac Blair, Brian Harmon at 20 under, and then you don't have to go much farther either to get to Ches Reavie, T4 at 19 under. Out of the top 6 guys there, 3 of them are not only not bombers. What's up?
They're 3'7".
Yeah. There are 3'7" guys. There are 3'7" guys that don't hit the ball anywhere relative to the other guys on the tour. And they were still able to be near at the lead. So I would say, counter to your adversary Rory's point, it's like kind of the course is allowing almost anybody. Jim fucking Furyk shot a 58 to 59 there. Like, it kind of allows any style of game, it feels like, to potentially persevere there.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of a fucking 3'7" guy, the complete opposite of that we saw at the
3'7"
the Nashville.
It's a ridiculous thing.
The Nashville Barstool Classic. Good. This guy, Dennis Kelly, who is an offensive tackle, right? For like, I guess he plays for the Indianapolis Colts right now.
He's not 3'7".
He played for the Tennessee Titans. 6'8", 320 pounds.
Dude.
We looked at him and we said, I don't even know if it's possible to be bigger than that, right? Like, 320 pounds of pure muscle. Now, think about, like, LeBron James, I think at his biggest, in his Miami days, he was probably, 270? And he was brick shithouse, like, barreling people over down the court. And obviously super fucking athletic. But this guy is 6'8", same height, essentially. 320 of pure fucking muscle. We watched him walk up to this fucking tee box. I'm like, how is that the same species? How? He stood next to Spider, our beloved Spider, Dan Diorio. Spider's up to the bottom of his rib cage. It was insane. Can you imagine that kind of person?
He's a specimen. He's perfect. Like, if he's a little bit taller, he's maybe like not as agile. If he's a little heavier, he's maybe not as agile. But he's just sort of on each end of the scale is maxed out. And nicest guy in the world, by the way. But he's perfect. 320, 6'8".
In ancient Greek days, that he's like a god. He's a warrior. Yep. They're putting armor on him and they're chanting his name, and he's walking into like this huge coliseum and everyone's going crazy because he's gonna beat down a lion with his fucking bare hands. 6'8", 320, are you kidding me? And it just goes to show how funny the game of golf is. He like hit like a very like baby fade like slice type of thing off the tee. So it's like it doesn't matter. You still have to have the swing. Nicest guy of all time, but definitely didn't have that like 400-yard bomb like you would think a guy who was 6'8", 320 would have. The game kind of equalizes everybody. A Brian Harmon could outdrive a Kelly. What's his name again? Fuck.
Dennis Kelly.
Dennis Kelly. I keep trying to say Chad Kelly. Fuck. No.
Swag Kelly.
And then speaking of Zac Blair, I just wanted to shout him out. He Kyle Porter tweeted out that he has $4.5 million in career earnings and made $1.8 million this week. He shot a final round 62. Again, he's big into like golf, the golf architecture world. He's reminds me a bit of Max in a way of like when he goes to a lot of different places, he jumps out and plays different courses. He's obsessed with golf. He's obviously launched and like a crowdsourced golf course that I don't know a ton about. I've just pieced it together from seeing stuff online. It's like the Tree Farm, I think that it's called. So he's deep in that world. Seems to be beloved by that crowd. And for him to go out there, who he's a little guy, and against that type of competition and shoot 62 in the final round to vault himself up in an elevated event, make that much money, incredibly, incredibly impressive. And I'm going to take him this week in my For The Cut bet. He's back at it at the Rocket Mortgage, which we've been to this. No, we've not been to this event. We've been to the 3M. 3M and the Rocket Mortgage. They're right next to each other. They're same color logos. Rocket Mortgage, Detroit. They're going up to Detroit. They still do it at the Donald Ross track up there.
The one that gets crunched every year. It's another.
They shoot like 1,000 under here, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I wanted to one more note on Zac Blair. He said that this week he was saying that when he first came on tour, he used to play. He would go out and play all the different good golf courses in the area, but he's kind of been back to focusing on the golf. And he said this week he goes. Funny enough, this week kind of went on a little bit of a heater. Played Eastward Ho before we came in, played Fisher's Island on Tuesday, and then Wingfoot on Wednesday. So he played those three courses in the lead up to the week, and then he finished second and made $1.8 million. So, yeah, good to be Zac Blair.
Dude, I fucking saw that. I was like, is he doing practice rounds and then going to these places? I was following him on Instagram in real time, and I was like, he is getting after it. And then I saw him in the leaderboard. I was like, holy shit. So, yeah, hell of a week for him. Good stuff. So that's my pick for the cut bet. By the way, hit again.
That's right.
Plus, it was plus 375 last week, which we love to see. It was a little bit of a sweat with Sahith Theegala. We looked great. It looked like it was going to be Coast City. And then he kind of lost it in a similar way to like Keegan. It was like he was like 3 or 4 clear with pretty easy holes to go with some good birdie opportunities, and then just struggled. He hit one in the water on 17. He was right on the cut line. He hit it in the middle of the fairway and then hit a gap wedge in the water on 17 and then got up and down from like 90 yards and then hit a drive a mile left on 18, hit a heroic shot from there and 2-putted from 30 feet to make the cut on the numbers. So that was a goddamn sweat on Friday.
All right, I'll go next. I'm going to take Ludwig Aberg.
Wow.
Yeah, Ludwig Aberg is the pick. He's made his first 4 cuts on the PGA Tour. First PGA Tour U winner. Guy's hungry. He's got energy. He just a professional. We're going Ludwig Aberg.
Is he going to be on the Ryder Cup team, Dan?
I don't think so this year, but the Ryder Cup team, the picture's getting spicy for that. I'm going to write about that for the Monday Wrap tomorrow on BarstoolSports.com. We got some on the American side. Keegan Bradley, Ricky Fowler, Wyndham Clark. There's going to be some turnover for 2021. It'll be interesting.
I'll go for my pick for the cut. We're on fire right now. I'm going with a guy named Doug Gim. This is who I'm going with. Doug Gim, he was missing a bunch of cuts. He went cut, T54, cut, and then just turned it around. The last 2 months, he went T27 with a 4 under at the Wells Fargo. He went T19 with a 16 under at the Byron Nelson. He went T12 with 11 under at the RBC Canadian Open. And then this week, he was 15 under and just like right in the mix. So, I mean, I got to go with Doug Gim. He was fucking T15. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was 15 under T15 this week. I'm definitely going Doug Gim. He's riding a hot streak. He's found something, and that's my guy.
I'm going to go with Joel Damon. I have no statistics. What?
I think he finished dead last this week.
I have
those
no
odds up.
Yeah, that's right. That's what it is. What I was going to say is I have no research. I have no statistics. I looked at the field. I scrolled a little bit and I picked Joel Damon. Didn't realize that he finished dead last, but I'm going to stick with him because he's poised for a major comeback this week and he's going to make the cut.
We've also had that same path to success throughout this entire the history of For The Cut has always just been we just pick whoever pops out to us.
That's right.
And aren't we up what's the statistics?
19 and a half units.
Wow.
That's good.
So if you bet $100 on each one, you'd be up $1,900.
Correct.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Think about that.
It's a pretty good little thing we got going on here, just picking golfers' names, and then we just go week by week. And you just just being up after all that time. How many have we done?
We've probably doubled everybody. Like in theory, probably on average, double your money every week or something around that. Right? I mean, is that good?
Joel Damon, baby.
Joel Damon. Let's see. I think we're going to be at like a plus 900 on this thing. Let's go, baby.
The exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports, created by fans for fans. Game Time is the ticketing app that makes everything, especially when you're trying to go to any event whatsoever, easier, more affordable than ever before to score last-minute tickets on deals. Last-minute deals on tickets? Yeah, last-minute deals on tickets. The sports concert shows, they're going to guarantee the lowest price. We don't even have to really read this thing. It's simple at this point. You got to go to events. You love going to events, which makes life worth living. That's why you go Monday through Friday, you grind so that you can think about going to a show, going to a comedy show, going to a game, going to a massive event, whatever it is. Use Game Time, go to it, makes your life better.
I'm hearing fireworks outside right now. It's that time of year. Ooh. Fireworks are going to start hitting the skies, and that's one of the best parts of going to a baseball game. Sometimes they'll incorporate that fireworks show at the end, or there's a home run. You'll see them fly up into the air. So being at a live event, like I said a couple of weeks ago, there's really nothing like it. And there's like certain things in life that you like accumulate money and save money and then you spend it for. It's only like a certain amount of real things. And going to events is one of them. You're seeing it with the Taylor Swift entire thing that happened where it's like a huge deal if you got a chance to go to one of those. So find your event that means that much to you and accumulate the money that you need to, and then use it on this app. That's what you have to do. It's Game Time. It's the best one. It's last minute. They guarantee the lowest price. Why would you listen to what I'm saying right now and not do that? You need the app. You need some app, right? I'm telling you that they're guaranteeing the lowest last minute tickets prices. So why wouldn't you just use that one?
You can also skip the hassle. You can enjoy the moment. Download the Game Time app or go to the website. Enter your email, redeem code 4 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, go download the Game Time app. That code is 4 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Speaking of dead last, shout out to Kevin Kisner. He doesn't have his best stuff right now. He went out there, and I'm not going to put him out there, but if people can imagine how great Kiz is when he's, playing well and how funny he is, he's even funnier when he's playing horrifically, which he has been lately. And going into, I had been texting him a little bit. Confidence wasn't high, and then I saw he was like 1,000 over through 9 holes. Withdrew and went home. And then I looked online to see if he had posted anything about it. And the only thing that I saw was some guy the day before had tweeted at him like, thinking about betting the house on my boy Kiz this week. You like that? And tagged Kiz, and Kiz just wrote, nope.
Kiz has been a friend of the program basically since day one. He's done more for us than we can even say. He's come on the show and just shot the shit for 2 hours at some points. He would also be an interesting guy to have on right now. And I'm not saying he has to or that I want him on. If he doesn't want to come on, he doesn't have to. But if he came on right now, it would be a very interesting version of him.
About a week or two ago, I think 2 weeks ago, I invited him on. I think you guys were doing a Barstool Classic, and I was trying to find a guest to kind of like make sure you guys could do that. We did it, whatever. And he was like, you always invite me on the days when I have an event. He had like a sponsors event that day. So he's down to come on. And I really wanted to get him on for that. A lot of what you just said, Trent, was like, I don't want to only like hit him up when he's playing well, and then be like, we forgot about you when you play like shit. Like, I think it'd be great to have him on. Just like when we had Billy Horschel on. We ended up having Billy Horschel on instead, or that week. But I completely agree with you. It'd be great to get him on right now. I actually think he'd probably be more relatable now than ever for him to go through. He was when Dan asked him at the Masters about what's going on with the driver. And he's like, well, I'm going to go to the range. I'm going to hit 8,000 drivers. I'm going to go out and I'm going to wipe one into the bunker and be pissed off for the rest of the day. That's like what he's going through. So shout out to our boy Kiz. We fucking love Kiz to death. It's going to be that much sweeter when he gets back to the top. We've had him on, like he said, after he's won tournaments before. He won the WGC, won millions of dollars. Right now he's struggling a little bit, but he'll figure it out. And then the Baltusrol, really cool to watch the women at Baltusrol. Really cool to watch them come down the stretch. I had kind of forgotten that Balti had like back-to-back par 5 finishers. How cool that is. The one with the great hazard, as they call it, on 17 with like the huge bunker is very similar to the 9th hole at Pinehurst number 4. Gil Hance kind of restored that to a similar, template type hole, if you will. So I'd totally forgotten about that finish, par 5, coming back up towards the clubhouse. Really, really cool. The water and the creek down the left actually played a huge role. Rosang hit it in there. Couple balls found that water. And just seeing them play out at Baltusrol was great. Rosang grinded to get a top 10, which me and Kirk both had picked her this week on our Cool Golf Gambling show. To do that, ended up being a 20-year-old. I don't know exactly how to say her first name. Do you know how to say her first name, Dan? I don't want to disrespect her.
No, I don't.
Ruoning. So I don't want to disrespect her. Yin, she's from China. She's only the second woman from China ever to win a women's major. She birdied the last hole, making like a 10-footer up the hill on a putt that nobody else was making. Nobody was really there's just a lot of mistakes made on that hole. It's the final hole of a major championship. She goes out there, hit a pretty good drive up the right, hit a gutsy layup, as crazy as that sounds, because it was like she was in brutal rough and had to fly at least 100 yards over this creek, and she was tied for the lead at the time. She does it and then hits a good wedge to 10 feet, makes it, ends up winning by 1. So it was a gutsy finish. Watching them play out at Baltusrol again was really, really, really cool. That course has, I think we said that's like second or top 5 most like U.S. Opens it's held of any course ever. So it's got more history than you can imagine. And yeah, it was just really, really cool to watch. They were on NBC too, which I liked, just seeing them kind of get that coverage, that type of golf course with that history. It was very fun to watch down the stretch. And Rosang, she's going to be a serious problem out there, I think.
She finished 8th and she played pretty shitty the whole week. So she's at that level, that Scottie Scheffler level. We also should say that Scottie Scheffler still hasn't finished worse than 12th in 16 straight events.
Finished tied just 4th, which was huge for me. I had him top 5 this week.
I mean, the guy's
a crazy run. Wow. Nothing worse than 12th in 16 straight professional golf events.
And that includes all of the designated events and 3 majors. It's not like he's playing a cup
schedule. Doesn't even make sense.
That is a money machine is what that is.
He's leading the tour in money, right? This year he has to.
Yeah, he broke the record. I'm going to check what he's at right now. Him and Rahm have both like comfortably broken the all-time record for earnings, because obviously with the designated events this year,
they're making so much more money.
He's what is he at? He's at, coming into this week, he was 17.7 million
for the year.
For the year, not including obviously endorsements or PIP or FedEx Cup.
If he wins the FedEx Cup, that's
he's going to make $30 million.
Looking at $35 million.
Still have all the playoff events. That's insane.
Good for Scottie.
He's still driving his like Chevy Tahoe.
Yeah.
Did you guys read Eamon Lynch's piece on the Patrick Cantlay and Jay Monahan? I highly urge you to go read it. It was just for the fact that he just absolutely roasts Chesson Hadley for being a nobody and Patrick Cantlay for being, like, in terms of the Q score, like nobodies. And some of his lines are laugh out loud funny.
Yeah, he said something about, Patrick Cantlay speaks with the confidence of a man who thinks he would be a partner at Goldman Sachs if he wasn't just wearing their logo on his hat.
Yeah, he was. It was great. It was really good. It was all about Cantlay's trying to basically stage a coup behind the scenes. He's trying to get rally player support to just not approve the deal from the player side that Monahan and company agreed to, and how he's basically getting no traction. And it was Eamon just like roasting them, and then obviously roasting Chesson Hadley, who had the comment a couple weeks ago that he was like offended that the tour made the deal without them, and that he feels like they, as for staying loyal to the tour, should, you know, get paid out. And Eamon obviously roasts him for that, being like, "Who the fuck are you?" So it was
it's interesting. I thought Eamon would be on the side of guys like being opposed to the live like merger.
He basically says that, not that he wouldn't. He's his whole framing of it was that, like, yeah, that'd be great that they'd be against it if it were for moral reasons, but it's clearly not. That was the whole point, was that, like, not in any way are they morally opposed to this deal. They're opposed to it because the money is not going to be raking in for them as it could have been, is the issue.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I thought that too. I was like, this is weird. Why would he be? And he puts that in the first or second paragraph, basically being like, this would all be great if it weren't for the fact that not one of them cares about a moral stance against any of this, blah, 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 blah. Which is, I think, why he tied in the Goldman Sachs line. It's good. You should read it. Spicy. I had to like look up half the stuff because he's way smarter than I am. So I was like, what is he saying here? And then once I got it, I laughed a lot. It was great. Okay. I think that's all I got. We got video coming out. We got 9 in Mine with Fat Perez is coming out on Wednesday night, I believe.
Yeah, first 9 in Mine. This is my my interview show. We're playing 9-hole matches with not professional golfers. So I know Fat Perez probably not the ideal first guest because he's like sort of a golfer, but we've got some cool guests lined up for that one, more in the like kind of athlete celebrity world. But we play 9 holes at their home course. That's the at mine aspect. So we went to Virginia, we filmed with FP, and it's a good match. You know, 2 solid golfers going at it, having a lot of fun, drinking a lot of Fireball whiskey. Excited for y'all to see it.
He's a big friend of the program, obviously. FP's the man. So yeah, I'm excited to watch that. And you guys are pretty similar skill level, I feel like, in the game of golf. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, we had some good matches. We did one for ours. I think they also filmed some stuff for their channel. Don't know when that's coming out. Our boys beat them to market. Yeah, that's just a fact of the matter.
Attaboy. That's it, fellas.
So yeah, and our guys are editing their fucking dicks off right now. It's crazy. We got so many things going on. A lot of people were like, we had a lot of tailor-made videos to get out, and then I felt like people were like, when's the next time you guys are going to like golf? Like, when's the most recent time you guys golf? And now we're just hitting them with a lot of just golf content. There's a lot of us golfing on the channel right now, and it's just a good place to be. And the guys are editing videos nonstop. We're looking at the schedule. We have so many in the bank right now that we've already filmed. So it's like, we're just going to be bombarding you with as many videos as we possibly can get out. Usually it's that once a week schedule. And then if they can find a time to get that like Tuesday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday release, we'll just keep hammering you guys. All those guys behind the scenes, they're nonstop. The Kyles, the Jareds, the Alexes, the Brendans, it's nonstop. It's absolutely nonstop. So just stay patient, but it should be pretty consistent at this point. I think we're on a good path right now with the YouTube page.
Once we're done with June, just June's been a lot for everybody in terms of just everything. Travel. Yeah, we had a shit ton going on, and then once we get out of this,
half of our podcast getting married this month.
That's right. Yeah. It's been crazy. It's been wild.
And also, just for reference too, like Bob Does Sports, those guys, we love those guys. They did a video at the same exact time as Danny's, and theirs might not come out for like 2 or 3 more weeks, right? And ours is coming out Wednesday. So it's just like, that's just the way of the world of the golf content game. It takes a while to accumulate all of these clips and all of the audio and all the video with everything else that we're doing, do 2 podcasts, all this stuff, all the traveling. So I do think that we're in a good spot right now, though. I'm probably talking too much for Alex and all the guys behind the scenes because they're probably like, we're fucking running around in a burning building right now. We're barely getting this shit going, but I'm going to say the stance on Foreplay is that we are in a very good spot when it comes to the YouTube page.
Agreed.
Go subscribe. It means a lot. Go subscribe. Justify all that work, all those guys grinding, editing, filming, everything. And be ready. Wednesday night, we got Fat Perez versus/with Dan Rappaport interview, chit chat. Sounds like fireball. Sounds like a good match. So go check that out. All right. Big week for us filming. I'm sure you'll see stuff all over social when you get this many people together that do what everybody that you've heard about does. There's going to be stuff that comes out. I think these videos are going to be amazing that we film this week. And we'll obviously be sitting down, putting out a podcast for Thursday as well. So enjoy this interview. David Woods, Sean Foley. And we'll be back on Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It is the golf capital of the world. It was recently voted America's single favorite buddies trip destination. If you're looking for a good time, golf trip where you will leave with memories that will last a lifetime. Myrtle Beach is that spot. We've been there a bunch, been there a handful of times over the last couple of years. They just got a little bit of everything, and that's what you have to love about Myrtle Beach. It's fun. If you're going to book a trip, right, you're going to try to maximize the fun level. That's the entire point of booking a trip. You want to have fun. You want to get away from work, from stress, from whatever you're doing. Myrtle Beach has the most options, got over 70 golf courses. They do millions of rounds of golf here. It is the spot where you're going to have the most fun if you go as a group buddy, as a buddies golf group trip. Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. At this point, we've talked about it so much that if you don't listen to us, I think you're just a moron, because it's just one of the greatest golf buddies trips you can possibly go on. So much so that Myrtle Beach has really grown on me, so much so that I write out my lists and my goals for the next, 5, 10, 15 years. And one of them would be to accumulate a piece of property on Myrtle Beach. I think like having a place to call home in Myrtle Beach, some of those areas, the north side of Myrtle Beach, and you're talking just real high class, high quality golf, beautiful weather, airport's right there, ton of restaurants, a lot of transplants. Everyone's down there having a good time. You have a golf cart in your garage. Everything about it seems real nice. The weather's perfect. To me, it really doesn't get much better than Myrtle Beach if you're looking for a place to go with all your friends. All these other places across the country, across the world, they're super hard to get to. They're booked for 3-4 years. You can't get into them. Myrtle Beach is like, it's option number one, man. I'm telling you.
It's also on the ocean. And I know that's going to sound obvious, but it's just right on the ocean. Like people go to all these places and they're like, oh, I want to go to California. Oh, I want to go to Florida. Myrtle Beach is also on the ocean. When we went with our dads, we got a place right on the ocean. Me and my dad every night sat on the porch and looked at the ocean. It is incredible.
Go to playgolfmyrtlebeach.com if you want to plan a trip. They got everything in one place, from golf, hotels, courses, everything to do in one convenient place. And then we're also going to give away a trip for you and 3 buddies. You got to visit foreplaymyrtlebeach.com. So if you want to visit Myrtle Beach, Play Golf Myrtle Beach is giving away a golf trip for you and 3 buddies. Visit www.foreplaymyrtlebeach.com to enter to win a 3-day, 3-round golf trip to Myrtle Beach. All right, folks, we're joined by 2 guys in the golf world who are really doing God's work, helping people out with their golf swings. We talk a ton about that on this show. We kind of are the epitome of the weekend golfer. Most of the show is really documenting our struggles with the game of golf. And like I said, you guys help people. We've got David Woods, who coach guys on tour. You and Sean Foley. Sean Foley we've had on before, actually, Sean. Coach Tiger Woods. Last time he was number 1 in the world. You were his swing coach. So the 2 of you have an amazing pedigree in the game of golf. You've got this training aid, the ProSENDR, which has made waves in the last month or so. Rory McIlroy, I would even say, is endorsing it. He appears to just be using it on his own to help his golf swing and pick up a ton of strokes, gain tee to green last week at the U.S. Open. So, fellas, welcome to the show. I'm very curious, how'd you 2 get together? Because I feel like it's a pretty competitive world, the golf instructing, teaching guys on tour world, and here you guys are kind of collaborating together. How'd you 2 get together?
Well, first, thanks for having us on, Riggs. I really appreciate it. It's been a fun few months here since the launch of ProSENDR. It's been a couple years in the making. Sean and I have been fortunate to be very good friends for probably nearly a decade now. We met, I think we met up at Pebble Beach at an event, kind of like 2010-ish. Okay. Sean came up to me at an event, introduced himself, was lovely and welcoming, and it was kind of nice, a fellow Canadian. And then we just kind of hit it off from there. For the last several years, I think we're going on probably close to 10 years that Sean's been kind enough to come out and co-host my golf school here at the club. So we've kind of gotten to know each other really well. He's a close family friend now, stays at our home, and is like Uncle Sean to my kids. So yeah, it's been a good number of years, and just appreciate his friendship.
Yeah, it's about the exact same thing, Riggsy. You should come, Riggsy, and come stay with me in the casita. It's quite a nice place to go versus the daily grind of hotels. The casita, I get there, it's filled up with Heineken. It's perfection. Yeah, but that's kind of been, that's been it. It's been probably a decade. I think as it relates to the ProSENDR business, what Dave is great at, I'm good at, and what I'm great at, Dave is good at. And so we actually continue to build, distribution, all those types of things. I have nothing to do with that. That's all been Dave's side of the business. And, you gotta connect a lot of dots to make these things seem seamless and easy. So, that from that standpoint. And then with Dave, we work on, just continuing to understand the swing and these players and the game. And it's a never ending structure of learning this golf game, Riggs.
Oh, man, is it? I'm really interested because the ProSENDR, and I don't want this to turn into an infomercial, but at the same time, I mean, when you've got, I was just watching the clip Todd Lewis is going on about at the memorial about Rory. I looked at David, your Instagram. You've got multiple posts about Rory. You're helping Rory at the, I think, U.S. Open. Kind of, he's talking through what he's working on with it. I've got one. I used it. Alistair. So you just mentioned Sean connecting the dots. Alistair Doherty, who's one of our guys, he's the only guy in the history of golf that we've sponsored. We pay the man to wear our gear. We believe in him. He's a good friend of mine. He goes nuts about this ProSENDR. I have to think golf training aids have been around for probably 2 centuries. People, I mean, old Tom Morris, they were making golf training aids. Here you guys are in the last, year, you've come out with a new training aid, ProSENDR. It's like I kind of laid out, it's Rory McIlroy, who has maybe the most desirable golf swing in the history of the world. If you dropped an alien from outer space that didn't know a single thing about sports, golf, anything, they would look at that and be like, that's correct. Whatever that guy's doing is right. And here he is using the ProSENDR. Where did this thing come from? How long in the making is it? And kind of why do you guys think it's so effective at this point, despite the fact that we've been seeing golf training aids for hundreds of years?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And first off, just any interaction I've had with Rory has just more been a listening session for me to hear about what his thoughts are on the ProSENDR, and I've known him for a number of years. He's a great guy. By no means am I helping him in any way at all. Hopefully the ProSENDR is helping him and he's enjoying it, but this has been a project in the making, like I said, for a good couple of years. It stemmed from me just hitting balls on my own and kind of getting tired of seeing my swing on video with a cupped left wrist and not high enough arms and not rotated enough torso. And I just kind of thought, gosh, if there was something that could put me in a really neutral Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, flat left wrist, extended right wrist feeling, but not force me into that position, because so many training aids put you in a position that you can't replicate when it comes off. And I think that's what the tour players are liking, is the freedom to be able to address the ball properly in the way that they, the manner that they hold the golf club, to be able to lay it back into that cradle and deliver it in the release pattern that they prefer. So it was just something that I kind of, messed around with for years. And then Sean came into the mix and added the component of the compression sphere. And I think, Sean can speak to this a little bit better and kind of go over why it's so important for that ball to be small and in the wrist joints, and how it really helped him bring Lydia Ko back from, the high ranking that she had unfortunately climbed to, and he brought her back to world number 1. I mean, I'll let Sean kind of speak to that, but it was a collaboration that came together to basically create the only 3-in-1 training aid on the market, soon to be 4-in-1, and we'll talk about that at another time. But it's an impressive piece of equipment that's easy to use, looks good, not embarrassing to put on the driving range, and to have over 50, well over 50 PGA and LPGA Tour players using it now and using it on a regular basis is pretty impressive. And like you'd mentioned, for the arguably the best player on the planet to be kind of behind it with zero paid endorsement or anything like that, it's just we owe a lot to Rory for just being such a good guy, and even allowing us to post any swings of him using it is generous and nice of him, and he's a class guy. Every time I talk to the guy, he's just 5-star.
And I think, Riggs, it's like, in golf instruction, I think there's an over focus on what the body does. Okay. Tiger is Tiger because of his hands, right? No batter ever got struck out by Nolan Ryan and came off the mound and went back to the dugout and said, "Man, did you see that guy's leg drive?" They came back and said, "That guy has a cannon." Okay. So when you look at a golf club and its design, basically this club is going to balance at this point, right? So there's equal torque on both sides. So this is the club's center of mass. All right. Now, for years, we talked about swing plane. But, when you look at a TrackMan has mostly numbers that don't identify any old school golf language, right? And we need to change the language in golf, okay? So when you look at all these pros, now, all these pros swing different because they just look different. They're all different sizes. Shane Lowry and DJ are going to look very different, all right? The way they're squaring the face is very similar. The way they're generating energy is very similar. There's way more similarities than there are differences, okay? And so when you look at the right wrist position on the PGA Tour, so this is extension, right? Now, this position would come from evolution, from us throwing things, okay? That's how we would have hunted, right? So this is quite normal for human beings, all right? So now, when you put the ProSENDR on the PGA Tour, that right wrist angle goes from around 42 to 63 degrees. So this is kind of set right at about 51. That's almost the tour average in neutrality. So for someone like Victor Hovland, this wouldn't be enough. Like he would snap through this, okay? Whereas somebody like a Phil Mickelson, his hand probably wouldn't be on it at the top. But if you look at the kind of the neutral, the ones you'll see 80 out of 100 times. So we gotta stay away from, in all things, we have to stay away from the spectrums at the end, right? Because unicorns are unicorns, all right? So when I get my right wrist into that position, it's one, I'm laying it back this way, but two, as the club is going up, I'm also twisting it. And all of those things are helping to get the club face to where it's more square. Now, just for people to understand, even that looks square as we've been taught. But in 3D, this club face is still really open because all the good players, Riggsy, they're closing the face rapidly through the ball. That's how they square. So the problem that we hear is stable club face. A stable club face is moving 3,000 degrees. There's no such thing as stable. A putter might be stable, but a driver is just whipping around at the fastest speed you can imagine. So one, most amateurs at the top are like this. And so two things happen. One, the face is obviously wide open. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to have time to square it. And then two, that point that I pointed out earlier is the mast of the club. So when that starts to come down this way, the only fix is to extend and try to straighten it out. So when we look at some of the prodigious ball strikers on tour, the guys who make it look really easy, if anything, that position is way more here than it is here. So when I can keep this behind me, I can continue to rotate to hit the ball. As soon as I get it in front of me, it's game over. And so that's the important part, is that one, it gives them a chance to square the face because they're going to feel much more shut. But even that's still open in space. They're going to have to still rotate their arms to square the face. But two, as it comes down behind, the body knows what to do. So it gets here, the body knows what to do. It's just not desirable. So really, this right wrist position, also the way that David put the craft in there, you can't go too radial. So radial is hinging, right? Okay. So the problem with radial, if I get too radial, then my elbow is going to bend a lot. So the two biggest differences between pro golfers and amateurs, and understand, I can teach any amateur on the street how to shift their weight and turn their body. That is not the golf swing. That is a reactive thing that's occurring based on the intention of the hands and arms. Okay? So the idea being is that the pros have more extension in their right wrist and they have less bend in their right elbow. So if I can get an amateur to get into the ProSENDR and keep his arms straighter, it is night and day. We have to, Riggsy, you've seen all this stuff about shallowing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And I'm not saying it's not real, but it's not really happening that way. Okay. If you just look at pure measurements, if I'm at the top and that right elbow's in that position, now my arms are going to be pretty extended at impact. So I can't really come into the ball like that. That makes no sense. Okay? Unless I can side bend 80 degrees like Joaquin Neiman, don't try it, right? He's a unicorn. So I get from here. Now that club is in position. As I extend my arm down, the shoulder stays external, but now look where the shaft is. So the shallower is in the extension and in the width of the right arm. That's period. That's not up for discussion. So when we put the ball in, and so what is so beautiful about this was when I saw David showed me it, I was like, oh shit, you got to be kidding me, right? You know how many years I had to tape, like, you know, the bendy rulers we used in school?
Oh, yeah.
I would take the bendy ruler here and tape it around, and my kids would hate it. I knew they would work
you're
on
10 cup. You're just 10 cup in your house.
Once that gets in there, Hogan always talked about keeping the elbows together. Now, this is not for everybody. All right. This is more of a high level aspect, but it's very good for helping people to learn short game and learning how to use their arms and their body together. Right. The closer to the wrist, the more imperative it is, because we have all this stuff about the shoulder staying external, but that only happens because of what the thumb and the wrist do. The shoulders just is up to this. So I can't be like this, Riggsy, and be like that. That's just not natural. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So when you put the ball in, when people build the backswing, keeping the ball in and getting the right wrist on the cradle creates quite a bit of torque at the grip, which really allows the face to come down a lot more square for people. So the wrist angles, because I grew up in the golfing machine, all I ever thought was that golf was wrist angle. Then luckily, you know, in early 2000s, I got with a couple chiros and physios, and they taught me how to use the body. But then I realized, man, most people have to earn the ability to move like that in a gym with people. So Dave and my job as coaches is wrist angles and the geometry of the strike, and the physios are there to increase people's ability to rotate and create more force.
Hydration is key. Hydration is key. Being hungover stinks. That's when you are dehydrated. You need to replenish. BioLite is the way to do it. They have 6.5 times the electrolytes in a single BioLite that you get in other sports drinks. Actually was with, like a month or so ago, a buddy of mine who's a doctor, incredibly intelligent person. We were out playing golf. I've been drinking quite a bit the night before. We're out there pounding water. Can't feel better. He said, you got to have electrolytes. You're just drinking water. You literally have to have electrolytes. And I said, we have this drink sponsor that I don't have with me right now that literally has 6.5 times the electrolytes of a normal sports drink. And he was like, yeah, that's the reason that you feel so much better after you have one of those things, don't you? And I was like, yeah, I do. And he's like, electrolytes are unbelievably key. So BioLite has figured it out where you are going to get IV in a bottle. You're going to get rehydrated. You're going to feel a million times better with BioLite, and it's fucking delicious.
Yeah, it really is. It saved my life, I think, in Nashville. I went out, Big Rob, I said this probably earlier in the show. I'm not sure where this is landing, but we were in Nashville. Big Rob's down there. We hit the town, and that's where I had my bachelor party a couple months ago. And Broadway won 4 nights in a row, and now I'm 0-5. I'm 0-5. I haven't even gotten a punch in on Broadway. Stumbled home. I haven't been eating a lot because I've been on this nice like wedding diet. I haven't been drinking. I haven't been having sugar. So I was just having just like straight tequila. I was just having straight everything, just didn't have a mixer in it, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. The next morning, I mean, I puked that night. The next morning we had like
you got in the car and just you were like,
6 a.m. we had to get into the car. I mean, it was like a 6:30 registration, 8 o'clock start for the Barstool Classic. I got to the Barstool Classic, barely survived the drive over there at 6:30 in the morning, still drunk, I think. And I was in the back seat wanting to puke. And we get there and they hand me a BioLite. I shit you not. I guzzled this thing down within a second. It was the fastest I've ever chugged anything. By the time the first ball was in the air for the Barstool Classic, I felt like a brand new person. It was like instantaneous. I may have been the number one body like control type person to show what BioLite does. Like if you when they were doing all the studies, they needed someone to be on the same like level as I was of dehydrated to show, look what it can do. You know what I mean? I was perfect. I was a perfect example. And everyone's like, Frankie, you're glowing. I'm like, BioLite. I was literally telling people it was BioLite, showing them.
For a limited time, use the code SUMMER, SUMMER, the word SUMMER, to get free shipping on your next order of BioLite at drinkbiolite.com. That's drinkbiolite.com. Use the code SUMMER for free shipping. So I got a question because my relationship to the game of golf is, I think, pretty similar to probably most people that are listening, that watch, that follow what we do, which is I played a different sport, pretty much played hockey my whole life. I know you guys are Canadian guys. Pretty much played hockey my whole life, played hockey in college. That was what I was good at. And then picked up golf, played a little bit as a kid. But when I was in high school, 16, 17, 18 years old, thought right away, here's all these fucking country club dweebs. They're pretty good at this. Like, how hard could it be? I'll be good at this. And now it's been 20 years and I'm still fighting that same fight. And my original relationship to it was, if I would chunk a ball or blade a ball, right? In my head, I'd be like, I just lost focus. Like, you just need to hit the back of the ball. And now that it's 20 years later and I've read everything and I've watched all your guys' videos and everything, now my immediate reaction when I do that, inevitably, is that I technically got into a spot where there was no way I couldn't do that, right? And so I always kind of fight that. And I'm actually now, I feel like going back the other way or probably kind of somewhere in the middle of, because you started the whole thing, Sean, with like Tiger Woods at the end of the day, no matter who his swing coach is, like his golf game is in his hands. He talks about it all the time. When he does those Golf Digest videos, which I love, he talks about fading it into a back right pin or trying to hit a high draw to, a back left pin or whatever. He's like, I pretty much just do it in my hands at the end of the day. Like, yeah, I set up this way and that way, but like, I'm just going to draw it with my hands. And so, me being a hockey guy that I held a stick and I could deflect the puck, like Joe Pavelski and like at times, and I had good hand-eye. And so part of me is like, yeah, man, you need to think about your technique. But another part of me is like, dude, just go out there and use your fucking hands and skills. And like Wyndham Clark was saying, like, just be an athlete, dude. Just like stand over a golf ball and just hit it properly how you want to, because your body will figure it out. So for you guys, is it tricky to try to put a percentage on or to try to help the average, the normal weekend golfer with that sort of balance between like, just figure it out and, technically, if we put you in this spot, you'll actually be able to figure it out way more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely think for the average player, I mean, you can see why the tour players like using it because they're real close to that position anyways. So it's kind of a home base for them. It's a place of comfort for them. For the average player, like Sean alluded to, that's more this way at the top, they've got to work to kind of feel, okay, what does this even feel like to get that trail wrist into extension and feel it against the cradle. And to me, it's, as we alluded to earlier, most training aids that are holding you in a position, if you go against that position, you're pushing this way, right? So let's assume that the ProSENDR held you back into that extended position by way of a band or whatever. The whole time you're playing, you're going to be fighting against that. And when you take it off, you're actually going to go more the other way. So I think just intuitively, because you have to take responsibility for your own improvement with the ProSENDR on, you've got to feel that motor skill learning, feel that kind of sensory touch against the padding of the inside. You're actually pushing against it. So when it comes off, the average player actually feels like they're going the other way, like the good way, rather than pushing against it. And I think, like you said, it's tough with amateurs to change patterns if they're used to doing it a certain way. But this is definitely a way that kind of incentivizes you to head in the right direction. So I think the biggest gain is going to come with the average player. I mean, for any coach that's teaching someone who's just learning the game, to not put this on them immediately, you're robbing them of like massive advancement in a shorter period of time, in our opinion.
Yeah, big time. There's no doubt. Wrist angles are tricky, Ricks, to teach people. And did you play lefty or righty?
I was a lefty hockey player, righty golfer.
Yeah. Right.
Literally, Tiger Woods asked me about that. We were walking up the 18th hole at the PGA last year at Southern Hills, and we were talking. and we were getting into sports. Obviously, you know him well. He's a sports junkie, and he was really curious. We were talking about, I played hockey my whole life. And his first question was, which hand did you play? And I was like, I was left-handed. And he's like, but you're right-handed golfer. And I was like, yep. And he's like, that's always so interesting to me. And he like filed that away as an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is interesting for sure.
Yeah. So the thing is for you, if you played golf lefty too, right? Hockey has a lot of really good things that are very relatable to golf, right? The hands are just separate, but you'll see the chest opening, you'll see side bend. The problem with hockey where the guys get struggling is that when they go to take a slap shot, that center of mass is much more this way as it comes into the ice.
Yeah.
And so when they golf, they do the same thing, but they're very strong and very good through impact with how they can do that. So I've seen a lot of hockey players hit the ball beautifully. Typically lower, right? Typically lower because usually
nobody draws a hockey puck either. Like nobody rips like a good wrister or whatever, and it's like a draw, right? It's always like you cut across it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely tough when you've played another sport the other way. I think just intuitively trying to figure out how to switch around your motor skill. But yeah, I mean, the use of the hand, like when I've watched your swing many times, Riggs, and it's gotten quite a bit better. I feel like, over the last couple of years, quite a bit better. But it definitely looks, growing up having played hockey my whole life, it was way more important to me than golf. It definitely, your swing looks to me way more body and kind of, almost stiffer in the arms and hands rather than that freedom of, like if you took like a whippy club or an orange whip or something and just made a bunch of practice swings and feeling the hands, that to me would free some of that up for you.
Totally.
But that's the thing though, Riggs, is that a lot of the amateurs they're not talked about this. Like how many times in the pro-am do I have to fix someone's grip? Like we don't even pay attention to the low-hanging fruit. Like the grip is so imperative. It's so imperative. And based on the type of grip, the type of way you're going to load the mass of that club is going to be slightly different. It's not massively different, but it's slightly enough. So I think what happens is when they put it on, they go, oh, I've never been told to do that, or I've never been there. And then all of a sudden you start seeing, literally it's instant, because if they're able to stay on it and get another piece of the puzzle, it'll change their ball flight in 2 shots. This isn't, whenever you're working on something, you should never if someone ever says you're going to have to get worse before you get better, then you need to get a refund. That's just not true. You should be able to hit it. Now, will it take you some time, Riggs, to give me 10 minutes? You'll hit the best shot of your life with me. I promise you. Now, how long will that take us to produce naturally you falling out of bed? That's the difficulty of golf, is the amount of mundane focus that you need on things to get gratification eventually. Whereas, I text my players all the time at the end of the text, you can't get this shit on Amazon, boys. There's no shortcuts. You got to do the work.
Right.
But a lot of people are doing the work, but they're being told things that are just not accurate. And, all this stuff about footwork when we're actually holding onto the club with our hands. Like, I don't understand it.
It's funny because we, again, on our show, we talk about this stuff nonstop and the struggle of golf. That's the beauty of it. I think it's the only sport in the world, at least like the most popular sport in the world, where you get a fresh shot at it every time, right? Like there's no other sport. Like hockey, we've talked a lot about hockey. Like everything that you do when you're on a hockey team is in the context of the season, right? Your team record or how many goals you have that year. Every time you play, there's like a continuity to it. And this is just part of the longer linear season or whatever. Every time you play golf, you stand on that first fucking tee, you're even par, and you've got a chance that day. And even if you shoot 107, like the next time you tee it up, you're even par, and you got another shot at it. And that's what's so beautiful about it and also so infuriating. And you just mentioned, Sean, like a lot of the fundamentals, right? And I've got a handful of golf instruction books from Sam Snead's, like How to Hit a Golf Ball. That was 70 years ago or whatever it was. Brandel Chambly's book where he ties in all the keys from all the greats, Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods' book. All of them, the first, second chapter, are not about the perfect wrist hinge. It's all about grip, setup, fundamentals of the game of golf. You don't go a page before you get into that in every single book. And so it's very funny to me you could talk about everything. You could look at Jim Furyk's swing versus Adam Scott's swing versus John Rahm's swing. But at the end of the day, when they're standing over the golf ball, they all, before they pull the club back, they all look pretty goddamn similar, because there's just a key to fundamentals. We talk about it in hockey. We've interviewed guys from in the NHL that literally, when they're really out of sync or whatever it is, they go to fundamentals. I've got my guy Brian Kane and Jeremy Morin, who do prodigy hockey, and they work really, really hard with the Blackhawks, especially. They worked with Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews a lot, and I've gotten into deep discussions with them about kind of the Moneyball version of like hockey, right? Like taking statistics like they did in baseball and applying it to hockey. And he's like, dude, in the offseason, the number one thing that we've worked on with Patrick Kane, with all these studs in the NHL, are fundamentals. Like, they just, after decades of playing the game, there's 2 or 3 key fundamentals that you get lazy on, or that just get tweaked in the wrong way because you're working on something else. And so it's always been amazing to me in the world of golf, especially, which is such a cognitive sport where you're just standing over the ball and you have to just apply the same motion over and over again, how much it just comes back to people really need to focus on having the fundamentals right. Just hold the goddamn golf club more properly, and things will work out better.
Yep, definitely. I mean, in order to do the necessary things with your wrists, everyone's slightly different, right? Like when people stand up, their arms don't all hang the same way. So you could get someone who's this way, you get someone who's this way, they can't grip it the same. So you got to be able to match. See, the grip is even like, as it's written about, it's too like, me as a kid growing up and just how I've always been, get these 2 V's pointed at your right shoulder. It's like, I asked everyone why, and no one had an answer for me, because I'd see all these different grips on tour, but then I'd see effective ball striking. So the thing is, like with amateurs, for the most part, when a pro gets to you and his grip is, say, not what you like, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the whole goal when we're coaching is not to teach people our preference. Like, I'm dangerous if I'm teaching you my preference, right? Does he have control of his club face, and does he hit the ball well? He does, right? So you won't necessarily change a grip with a pro unless it's something that's causing an injury potentially, but you don't want to go there, because that's their whole connection to the planet. But with an amateur, I've changed grips all the time, and it's amazing. I mean, and they don't like it, and it feels awful, and so does a cold plunge, but it's good for you. So
right.
Once they do that better, they get the face in better positions, they can swing the club better. So remember, it's a golf swing, so it's like a swinging action, right? There's some hitting in it too, but it's definitely a swinging action. So we have to be able to use our hands to swing it. And the thing about the ProSENDR, when it's on and you're able to get wider, I mean, think about all the times you were told to lag it, Riggs, like lag the club, right? But when you go fly fishing, to make the fly go really far, you have to cast it. But casting is the wrong word in golf. So how am I casting this to create width and distance? And in golf, I'm trying to keep it. How can I speed it up if I keep it? So we just need to overall science has come a long way in golf, and that's been helpful, and I think it's been productive. But, how science is used often is just to prove people's previous agendas anyways. You know what I mean? You could prove this, you could prove this. So I just think if I cut your legs off, Ridge, you could learn how to hit a ball pretty well. You'd have to get the club's design different, but you could still hit it well. If I cut your arms off, bro, you're not playing golf. That's just a simple way to get people to understand what's more important.
Riggs, you also talked about just kind of like what's been done over the course of time and some of these theories of coaching. And I think what's not talked about enough is all of those concepts were invented, let's say, when the equipment was dog shit, right? Compared to what it is now. So there's not enough discussion about how the instructional patterns are still often talked about the same ways they were in the 70s when when the equipment was bad and the only way to hit it far was to, drop it underneath and have a ton of pronation of the right arm and really hit these sling hooks. Whereas the equipment now is just so much better. So some of those theories have not quite evolved, and certainly at the club instruction level, the everyday, teaching professional level, there's still, if you read the PGA of America, coaching manual, it's still a little, designed based off some pretty old theories. So, that's just not talked enough about.
It's interesting to me too, because we all, on my side of things, which again, I think 90% of golfers are probably pretty similar to me, and we all have this romantic notion of like, I'm going to get a lesson. I'm going to watch a YouTube video and I'm going to learn quickly how to do it properly. And then I'm going to grind until I get it right. Right. And in reality, we've looked at Tiger Woods, greatest player of all time. Like, when he made swing changes for whatever, 4 different golf swings he's had. And he has admitted that it took him a year, 2 years of grinding 8, 10 hours a day on his swing before it got to a point where he felt comfortable with it. And so we, as the average weekend golfer, if we do a 2-hour range session a week, that's grinding. That's like a lot, I think, for most people. And you're not even going to be fucking close to ingraining something that felt alien on Sunday, and the following Saturday when you play is now going to feel natural. Not even close. And so I guess my question to you guys would be, for the real like average golfer, what can they really do to most maximize their time? They've got kids, they've got jobs, they've got bills to pay. They cannot spend 40 hours a week on the driving range. They can maybe spend a couple hours a week on the driving range. What can they really do to just hit the ball better so that they can be in play and hit it pretty consistent? You know what I mean? Like, what can they really do?
Yeah. I tell you what, the first thing, and I would only jump in here, Sean, because I probably teach more average to higher handicap players than you do.
Oh, sure.
And, the one thing that I always try to emphasize with people, because the vast majority of them, they can't deliver the shaft with any kind of forward lean. And if you can't learn to do that first, it's pretty hard to execute all the other things that are important in the golf swing. So, like if I was trying to get somebody to be much better, I would get them to be an amazing chipper. And I don't mean like saucy little chips. I mean like standard old school ball, a little bit back in the stance, weight on the left foot, open stance a touch, leaning the shaft, hitting down on it, getting your low point beyond the ball, learning how to have ground interaction. And then from there, doing 9-3 drills till your hands bleed, like little half shots that go 70 yards where you can, you feel that ball compression that you maybe never felt before. Because that's just a microcosm of the whole swing. Like if you can do that and compress it a little half swing, that's a chip is just mini version of the whole swing.
That's so interesting you say that, because I did 3 years ago, whatever. During COVID, I stayed at Pinehurst for 99 days. I cried when I left, the whole deal. But during that, I went in the Pinehurst Golf Academy. We were shut down because of COVID, and everybody was shut down. And they were trying to basically kill time. We were trying to film stuff, whatever. And I went over there and we did a wedge charting where, they basically, you guys are, I'm sure, very familiar with this, but every wedge in my bag, I have 4 wedges in my bag, a 60, a 56, a gap wedge, and a pitching wedge. And they were basically like, hit one 50%, hit it 50% 3 times, hit it 75% 3 times, hit it 90% 3 times, hit it 100% 3 times. And we're going to chart with a TrackMan and everything. And we're going to chart exactly how far they fly and where they end up. And it was amazing that with hitting a 75% gap wedge, I was infinitely more accurate hitting it 92 yards or whatever than I was hitting a 60-degree 100% and trying to hit it 92 yards. Like, laughably more accurate. And the takeaway from it was, after 30 swings or 40 swings, however many we took to chart the whole thing, after all of that, it was like, dude, if you just hit your wedges 75% and take more club, you will save infinite strokes over the course of a year of playing golf. It was a laughable difference.
Yeah, I think, look, when you get done playing golf, what's the only question people ask you?
What'd you shoot?
What'd you shoot, right? So I think, to piggyback on top of what Dave said, you're 15 to 30 handicap, and I get the time constraints, right? I don't really have time to play golf because of the same reasons, right? Is like, go to the range and the short game area and just bring your wedges and your putter. Like, do that for a year. Because when I'm in pro-ams every week on the PGA Tour, I see most people slice it, but they're pretty consistent with their slice. It's pretty consistent. as soon as they get around the green, it take 4 or 5 or 6 strokes sometimes. So, I mean, I know hitting a driver is fun, but most people don't even understand the math of how to hit a bunker shot. And the thing is, if you don't swing it great, you're going to have to chip and putt anyways. And so from a scoring standpoint, I would advise people, to do that. And I think for you with the 75% is where we get off when we hit the ball full. One, you don't want to hit a wedge full anyways, because you need to have a certain ball speed and club head speed to create enough friction to control spin, right? But when people go at it harder, that's where it gets ugly right there. And so when Dave talked about forward shaft lead, right? Now, Riggs, remember the top of the backswing to impacts 2 100ths, 3 100ths of a second. There's not much once my hands get to here, there's almost nothing they can do. Now, there's 2 fields of study there, Sasho and Jacobs, and they disagree on that. I'm kind of fall more with Sasho McKenzie on what he's saying. I agree with that. All the changes after this are made from the body, right? The body can change in that time frame. So once again, when the ProSENDR is on, at the top of the backswing, the right wrist is there and the left wrist is there. So you already preceded impact because impact is almost the same. Now remember, you'll see DJs like this, and he's at 7 degrees of left wrist flexion. At impact, he's only at 10. So yes, the club is passing us. There's no doubt. So knowing that the club is moving faster than the hands, if you're already like this, which is like a flip, then of course you're just going to be more flipped. And that makes golf so hard for amateurs because they can't make good contact. And with my pros even, when they're hitting the ball offline, they're not as bothered as when they have poor contact. That's when they get ball bothered.
Right.
So why not work on a position where you're already at impact? You're already there. And then this would be, to me, on the excessive side, but would help so many more people than that. Like this is what you want to do is more in a bunker. So when you're trying to hit it fat in 10 yards, then you kind of want to get there. Well, golf is not about hitting it fat in 10 yards.
Yeah. It's funny. I remember like the first time Bubba Watson, I remember him going viral. It was like the first hole at the Masters, and he hit it into like the 9th fairway, and they zoomed in on him, and he was like, crushed it though. And it was like, you might have hit it way offline, but he knew. He's like, oh, I smoked it. And it was like, that is, as a golfer, it's like, yeah, when I might have pulled that 30 yards, but dude, that felt good when I hit it. And you feel like you can work with that when you're hitting it good, no matter what.
Yeah. Pin high is the key to shooting lower scores. So if you don't have good contact, but you're playing never from pin high, and all the terrible shit on the golf course is not at pin high. It's all under the green, and then if you're over the green, that's almost always a guaranteed double bogey at just about every golf course.
Right. Totally.
Just jumping in on what Sean was just saying, which is 100% accurate. I think what we're noticing too with the ProSENDR on is most pros are not trying to drag as much lag as we want amateurs to drag. And that's why this is so versatile. So Cameron Champ, who Sean coaches, for example, who is like, his golf swing's unbelievable. He drags too much lag through the ball sometimes. Okay. So I've watched Sean coaching him where he literally at the top is telling Cameron, once he lays in the cradle, he's trying to come out of the cradle immediately, almost throwing it and trying to get that sensation of the hand working away from the cradle. So for the best players in the world, they're trying to have maybe fractional forward shaft lean or trying to line that club with the grip on top of the club head. Whereas the amateur, we want him to keep that back of the hand in the cradle for as long as humanly possible.
Right.
So it's interesting that I wouldn't say I designed it that way with that in mind, but it's kind of evolved where I'm like, wow, that's interesting. The more you talk to the best players in the world and how they feel. So I'd say the best players are trying to keep it in the cradle for the first part of their downswing through to, where the shaft's last parallel to the ground. And then they've got the freedom to release it on their own pattern. Whereas most amateurs, if they really just felt like getting their weight into their left side and leaning that shaft and keep the hand on forever, they're going to get that sensation I was talking about earlier where we're low pointing after the ball. We're hitting the ball first, creating a divot after the ball. So I think it's pretty unique that it works, for both people. I think one thing that Sean didn't mention about the ball that he brilliantly came up with, getting it really close to the wrist joints, but when you're working with the ball and the wrist cradle, or even just like Cam Smith uses just the cuff and the ball a lot. We're seeing that. I mean, he hits balls like 70% of his practice is with this on. But what this does, what this does is as you transition and you squeeze the ball slightly and the trail wrist pushes into the lead wrist, it definitely aids in creating a little bit of a shallow. So, I mean, it's interesting, just like things that have evolved just organically with feels that the players give us feedback in has been kind of incredible. Like in a tool that we felt like was, okay, this has got 5 uses or 5 attributes, is turned into like 15, which is just been awesome.
Do you love golf? Answer is probably yes, if you listen to the show. Do you love to play golf with other people?
Yes, sir.
Same. Do you have trouble sometimes coordinating time, location for golf matches around family, work, life schedules, and all of that?
Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating because you're available and you just expect everyone else to be available. And it's just, odds are it doesn't happen.
It's true. If you're not available that much, then the time that you are available, probably pretty likely that those other people that are available not that often are not going to be available at that time either.
Yep.
We're here to introduce to you a new app called Links Golf. It is super easy to use, got a clean look. We love using this thing. Downloaded it a couple weeks ago. It's the first ever app of its kind to offer real golf leagues from your phone. Fantasy League meets reality. For a limited time, there is free full access. Great for all golfers, no matter what your level. It's got normalized scoring based on index, hole handicaps, and course difficulty. So you can have a buddy, a friend, a gal, whomever, in a different place, a different state that can play a golf course. They'll adjust the scoring based on the rating, the difficulty, and all that, like we just said, and you will have a very fair and even match. The best part is it keeps friends, family members, former teammates, colleagues, pro athletes, YouTube golfers, all connected with golf matches from different courses, meaning you can go up against your buddy, no matter the distance between you guys. Links Golf app has made it easy for golfers who have never been able to play in a competitive league at your local course because they now play at their own time from separate courses. It's just a great idea, fellas.
Yeah, adding in that competitive nature to your round of golf. You're not playing with anyone. No one can make your round. You didn't get a match set up. But now on the app, you're able to essentially see how you played compared to other people that are in your league. And I think that's great. It keeps your competitive juices flowing, even if you're playing by yourself.
Makes it matter. You're out there by yourself. It still matters,
And how do you stack up against these like random people around the world? That's awesome to know.
You don't have to play versus your friend at the same time. You got 7 days to complete a match. You don't have to use the app when you're playing. You can just fill in the scorecard post-round if you would like. So if you're someone that likes to just stay off your phone, no problems. The app is great to use as a side match with buddies in different states. Play your local games Sunday morning in person, but you can always be in another match with someone else through Links Golf or multiple matches with other people. Download the Links Golf app on the App Store or Google Play to set up a league and start playing for this golf season. For more information, go to www.linksgolfapp.com. Again, go download the Links Golf app on the App Store or Google Play. That is the Links Golf app. Talk to me about Rory. I know Rory's, we mentioned it off the top. He's using it. I know he's not a paid endorser of it or whatever. He's just using it. He likes it. What has he told you about it? What does he get out of it? Why is he using it? Why does he like it? What's he working on that it helps him with?
Yeah. Sean and I both visited with him. I probably visited a little bit more of them just when we were up at the Canadian Open. And I think ultimately, and I don't really like to speak for him because his words might be different in this, but this is me speaking, not for him. But I feel like he wants to get his arms more up and in front of him, and he wants to get his wrists. He's always going to have a little bit of an extended left wrist, a little bit of a cup wrist. A lot of that's because of his grip. So he's trying to get the shaft to be less cross the line, less long, and less cupped. Would be my interpretation of what he's trying to do. What he has explained to me is he likes how it feels or where it gets him at the top of his backswing. So getting that shaft to point more at the target or even a little fractionally laid off from the target and the arms a little higher in front of him. Sean, would that be what you would agree with?
Yeah, Rory with his grip, he's always going to be like this a little bit, right? Like that's fine because that's not going to stay like that forever when he starts down, right? But I think where Rory gets into issues a little bit is that this right shoulder retracts too much. And when it retracts, his arms get pulled across his rib cage, and then he's kind of over here. Now, because it's retracted, he gets a little bit across, but his arms are almost too deep. So when they come out and go this way, then he's just underneath it stuck. So with putting the right hand on there, it's hard to put the right hand in that position and retract the scap. You can't do it. You just elevate it. You could protract it, but you can't retract it. So this kind of movement that he gets is like he pulls the grip behind his body. That's really hard to come down from there. I think with the driver, he's got more time. But once he gets into, say, shorter shots, there's not as much time. So the idea that he talked about, he just loved how he can just put it in there. That's having the thumb's having a massive effect on how the shoulder's working. So the arms are able to do this now rather than that. So that's what I see as the biggest difference. Is that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't really put it on and then do that. You wouldn't do that. You'd end up, it's kind of in the same position, Riggs, as if you were doing overhead shoulders or just doing dumbbell press, right? It's a very powerful position that is. You can never press anything from there. So that we're not ever wanting to get that retracted because that pulls everything in the wrong direction. So that's what I would say. It helps him elevate the shoulder and keep it. Look, all this stuff about external, it's probably internal for most players, external slightly, and then internal again because we're trying to get the face split. So all the stuff to me, is more about the wrist than the shoulder. I think the shoulder is, we can talk about people using their glutes, but if people can't use their big toe, they're not going to fire their glutes. So trying to jump off the ground to hit the ball farther is kind of a silly idea because most people can't even jump properly. Let's just hold on to it better and make sure that we get, this is the one thing that every 15 handicap can do exactly like a tour player, is do that, right? If you can sit there on your phone, you can do it. It's not really that difficult. But the thing is, as soon as this is better, Dave and I did some fun DMs, man, where people are like, I've had every training aid, I've taken lessons my whole life, and if we posted them every day, it would take us probably 2 hours. And so that's, when you look at the amount that we've sold with just the absolute minimum in returns, that's proof right there that this thing is where it is at. When we don't really get too many emails or DMs on how do I use it, when you go to the website, we have the free protocols where we talk about this is what it's for. But once people get into there, this is the magic, right? It's important for shooting basketballs. This joint is the magic as it relates to sports.
It's amazing. It's true. Like I said, I opened it this week. I took it out of the box. Right away, I was on the protocols on the website. I'm looking, I'm like, fucking Rory's using it. I got to use this thing. And it does. It just gets you in that spot that is, I feel like, for the amateur. And I wanted to talk about this because it's Dan Rappaport, who obviously, part of our operation, golf journalist. He's a really good player. He's probably a +1 or so. He got a lesson during the PGA Championship from Blackburn, and when he filmed it, and we're doing the whole thing. And he said before they even went to the range, Blackburn had him go to the gym for like a half hour and saw what his body was capable of before he could even go to the range. And I thought that was so interesting. It reminded me a lot of John Rahm, when John Rahm, and I think it was the Memorial a few years ago, talked about his born with a club foot, and that's why he swings the way he swings, is because of he understands the limitations. He understands what his body's capable of.
He adapted.
He adapted. Exactly. And my whole point bringing all that up is that I guess to ask, do you guys feel like it's dangerous for people to see professional golf swings and try to mimic them?
I wouldn't say it's dangerous. I just would say that they wouldn't have any success doing it.
Right.
You gotta, when people look at Cameron Champ in slow motion and say, how do you get him to do that? It's like, I've never got him to do any of that. That's just, we're talking about a Michael Vick. We're talking about an absolute freak athlete. So we'll see that Cameron's butt is back and his chest is really open. So that must be where I need to go. But he's in the same position as everyone. He's just strong enough to stay in flexion longer and flexible enough to look more a certain way. So it's, to be honest with you, I don't want him to be as much down there as he gets. I want him to be taller. I want him to extend earlier, to be honest with you. So you're not going to be able, put it like this. Could we teach Bruce Lee to hit a ball like a golf professional faster than we could teach a golf professional to fight like Bruce Lee? 100%. Bruce Lee will get there quicker. Because the thing with Bruce Lee is he would be unlimited in his ability to move. So when you see these world-class ball strikers, these guys all have very special things they're able to do, mate. Like, really special things they're able to do with their joints and their ability to separate joints. And, but I think if we took a world-class boxer and they committed to it, we could get a world-class boxer at 180 ball speed in probably 5 months. But how long would it take you and I to be a decent boxer? It'd take us years. So,
oh man, we get
as far as going to the gym and doing all that, human beings are movers. We're supposed to move, and that's the issue for the weekend warrior is we spend all week like this or on the phone, not moving. We get out of the first tee. We just dropped the kids off at baseball practice. We have 4.3 hours to get back to pick them up. And we're going to hit 4 or 5 drivers that go right to the first tee. That's how we get hurt.
Yeah.
So, but how many people have 30 minutes to do a functional warm-up drill where they're activating their body? I mean, most of them are actually on the PGA Tour.
You get a double. You get a double cocktail. You get like a breakfast sandwich. You go straight to the first tee. All right.
Yeah, that helps.
Here we go, boys.
That helps the gym. You know what I'm saying?
Then you steer one into the right rough, and you're like, all right, not bad. Here we go. Yeah. It makes me want to like stretch. Like I just need to stretch. I'm so pathetically inflexible that it's like, obviously I can't do that. I can't do it properly. People comment like, you look so stiff and rigid. I'm like, yeah, I can't touch my fucking toes. And like, I haven't touched my toes in 10 years. It's like, of course I'm like stiff. So it is funny that we all want this secret, right? We all want the tip that's going to like change it. At the end of the day, it's like, dude, you put no effort in on your body. You don't put in any hours at all on actually making concrete changes to your swing that'll build muscle memory. And then you go out and you're like, well, I watched a YouTube video and I don't understand why I didn't get much better this week. Like, no shit, you didn't get better.
Well, that's that. And the thing is to get good at it, it's like even the greatest writers in the world, at some point they learn the alphabet and then they could write a word and then they could write a sentence, then they could write a paragraph. And now they write Pulitzer Prize winning novels, right? That's a process of probably 25, 30 years. So it's you have to earn this, but breakthrough products like the ProSENDR, where we're really defining this is the biggest issue with amateur golfers is this.
Right.
I think it's unarguable. I really do. So that at least when they go, they get better every time. And the thing that a lot of people have said is they like when they take it off, that they can then, because of the sensory feedback, they can just imagine it's on and what they were feeling. But a lot of them, when you tell them do that, they're like, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. So a lot of times, we don't know what we're supposed to do. So if the concept, how many people are out there holding a club, like Sam Snead said, like it's a bird. So not tight enough that it would fly out and not, look, you're going to swing this thing as fast as you can. You better hold on to it really tight.
Yeah.
So the thing is like, that's a hand-me-down, right? Like that's the issue with golf is the tradition. Sometimes the language is from those times. So, drive for show, putts for dope, right, Riggs? Well, the best 10 ball strikers in the world are 14th in the world ranking. The best putters are 65th. So a 4-foot putt is something that my mom, who's 80, can do almost as well as everyone on tour. Right. The difference between the greatest players of all time, you could argue, is their ability to hit it far and their ability to hit it high. And that's when you're starting to get into, athletic stuff. To be able to generate speed and then be able to hit that ball straight up in the sky, like Rory, like Tiger, like Nicklaus, like BJ, like all those guys could. That's what we see.
Hey, Foles, remember at when we had Charles Howell out for the golf school and somebody asked him about grip pressure? He's like, yeah, Sam Snead, used to talk about hold it like a bird. He's like, I hold it like a bald eagle diving for a fish in the ocean. He goes, I don't know what he's holding on to, but like I'm gripping that thing so tight. which kind of goes to, to your point.
Yeah,
like,
it's
there's no way you're holding it soft and loose. You might
Riggs,
ball a little bit soft.
Right.
Riggs, there's enough evidence to show us that that's happening, but people are still saying hold it like a bird. But the evidence is no, don't do that. Yeah, if you're putting or chipping, of course you're trying to not generate force. But if you're trying to generate force, you better get ready, man. You know what I mean?
Totally. I've done that on the range a few times where I've been like, I'm okay, it's grip pressure, dude. I'm gonna hold it really lightly. And like the glove face is like this when I try to hit the ball. It's like a shit. I'm like, oh, of course. I mean, right. Like you said, it's like everybody talked about tempo forever, and obviously tempo is important, whatever. But like then there was Bryson in 2020 or 2021, like going up before he hit his tee shot, being like swinging as fast as he fucking could. And it's like, well, yeah, he's carrying it like 350. It's like you're not trying to delicately like place it out there. You're trying to hit the ball over 3 football fields. Like
you want to. So everyone listening, right? They want to hit it further. Just say for fun, they want to go out and get their personal best club head speed, right? If they really increase the length of the backswing as much as they can, so get the backswing as long as you can, but take it back as fast as you can, you will create more club head speed.
Interesting.
So the guys on tour will do the same thing, but they'll just lose accuracy. So they have enough speed to where you could take it to the top and go to take a full stop and still smash a golf ball, right? You got Georgie Yankis with the freezer drill. He gets to almost the same club head speed from a freeze. But when guys want to rip it, they take it back faster. And we're telling all these people who want more club head speed to take it back slow and then speed.
Yeah.
The math is on the side of being fast already. You see, so there's so many solutions. We just have to be able to get where everyone's more on the right page, right? Like there's not one car mechanic in the world who is going to tell you to start your car with diesel unless it's a diesel engine. And we're still putting diesel in Bugattis. It's ridiculous. It doesn't need to be.
It's interesting, David. I feel bad. You have my number now because I'm gonna be out there on the range. You're going to have to invoice me. I love this shit. It's the best. The best
we
part,
can't tell, Rapes.
The best part about this game too is like when you're hitting it good, the food tastes better, dinner's better, your cocktails are sweeter, like everybody's nicer, works
relationships better.
Oh, everything's great. Man, when you're hitting it like an asshole, the world sucks. You're just like a crusty old man.
I have no experience in that, Riggs. Only about 9 people.
I can't even imagine. But yeah, it's that, it's an addiction. I got to give credit to like Joe Rogan, who he's said many times on his show, people come on, they ask him if he plays golf, and he goes, nope, because everybody I know that plays golf is addicted to it. He goes, and I know that if I play golf once, I'll get addicted to it, and I just don't have time for that shit. And he's 100% correct. He's like, it's the worst / best addiction of my entire life, and it's just trying to
break.
Yeah, it is,
and it does force you to have a reflection upon yourself in a bad way. Like when you're playing good, you're like, oh, I should play good. This feels good. When you're playing bad, you talk to yourself. You're like, I must be a bad person.
Totally. I'm such a loser. I'm such a loser.
Yeah.
Like I don't deserve anything.
Yeah.
What a great game. All right, boys, we got to do this again. I'd like to do like continual updates or something along those lines, because I've got this thing. I was shadow swinging it in my apartment the other day. I'm going to go out to the range with it for the first time this week. I know Alistair goes crazy on it. He's teeing off here pretty soon, but yeah, I really appreciate the time. I think, you guys are like doctors, really. It's like we just mentioned it, but it's like when you can help people with their golf games hit it better. If you're a golf nut, like we all are that are probably listening to this show, it dramatically changes every aspect of your life when you're playing good golf for you. And boy, does it suck when you're playing shit golf. So you guys are doing God's work out there. And yeah, we appreciate. Congratulations on the success with the ProSENDR. I imagine I saw with the website and everything, but that Rory bump, I think the Rory bump's pretty real.
Yeah, certainly helped. I mean, even going into when Rory started using it, we were already miles ahead of where we anticipated. We had already sold out 4 times. So, but yeah, it certainly helped. And now it just kind of brought just a little bit more spotlight to it. But yeah, if anyone wants to check it out, go to www.prosendergolf.com. And then be sure to check us out at ProSENDR Golf on Instagram, Sean Foley Performance on Instagram, and David Woods PGA.
I love it. It's ProSENDR, SENDR. So everybody gets it right. ProSenderGolf.com. Again, it's not a fucking infomercial. We're not getting any money off of this. I just think it's great when people have an opportunity to play better golf and hit the golf ball better. I think it's so much more fun. Life's better. Like I said, dinner tastes better. Everything, your relationship's better. Everything's fucking great when you hit the ball better. So I appreciate the time. I appreciate you guys coming on. I know you're doing God's work. I know you probably, the DMs you guys must get. I get a lot of them. I can't even imagine being in that realm with the emotional attachment people have to their golf games. It's a hell of an effort you guys are making. And congratulations, honestly, on the ProSENDR. I know it took years to get this thing going, and it's not easy creating a training aid, like I said, after hundreds of years of people coming out with these types of things. So congrats. And I want to do an update soon. I want to do kind of a progressional thing where we kind of see how we're doing with this thing. Cause like I said, I'm going to Bandon in like a week and a half. And I'm like, if I can hit the ball decently at Bandon, it'll just make my life a billion times better.
We need to do a little before and after with you on ProSENDR.
I'm in.
Yeah, I think Riggs, I picture you right now with the beer in hand, the ProSENDR in the hand, laying on my couch so we can work through this attachment you have to your relationships even getting way worse when you're not playing well. So we could do a little both, Riggs.
I love it. I've been there with Max Homa. His wife Lacey, who's awesome, has like pictures of me and Max at like 1 a.m. with a bottle of red wine sitting on the floor, and he's like showing me club positions and the whole deal. So I've been there before. It's again, I want to warn you, it's a Herculean effort to try to get this swing in a proper spot, but it means a lot to everybody. Everybody's got their own relationship to the game. So yeah, I appreciate the time. We'll keep updating people and yeah, keep going. Good luck with everything, fellas.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Riggs.
Thank you, boys.